here frequently, you know that the Hot Zone is a talk show where we feature a team of panelists from different political institutions, different political persuasions.
Sweet land of liberty.
Stick on the issue, I beg you, please. Let's stick on the issue.
Fuel our politics. Politicians used to live up to their
The big government is not a solution to the problem.
Let me say this. I hear somebody saying, well, the country don't get money. Look, every country in this world that God has created on this earth has money. It depends on how the leader is innovative.
Not good judgment. Okay, to be commingling, to be meandering with a man who has recently been found guilty of committing a serious crime, right? You can appreciate him all you want, but it sends the wrong message. That
you can also Joseph, brother Peter, let me talk. Let me talk.
We do not have strong drug laws on our books.
If I gave you my history, what you want to? You want my
Motherfuckers will come and tell you to vote for one person when the person get it, and they tell you say the person not good. All of them confused.
Yeah, I'm getting younger because we are empowered now. And when you empower, it comes with setting grades.
They come in with their fake smile. All I can and I so fly. They won't use you, confuse you, and mislead you. They will promise when you vote them, they frustrate you. They already say you so go. Don't for your friend, let Rambo. They already say you rebel. Don't for your friends for their choice. Oh. They already say you so go. Don't for your friend, let Rambo.
Tonight, I'm playing host. My name is Derek Yale, and let me check in with my co-host, Mr. David Takbe. Mr. Takbe, welcome to another episode.
So Derek, thank you. It's always good to be on the Hot Zone.
Brother, vote for your future. Mama, vote for your future. What do you want to? If I gave you my future, what you want to?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are joining us from. Thank you for joining us here on the Liberia Radio and Television Network. The Liberia Radio and Television Network, or LRTN for short, is a local media institution right here in Northeast Philadelphia. And LRTN is proud to present another episode. Actually, this is the season finale of season 6, episode 12 of The Hot Zone. And if this is your first time being here with us, The Hot Zone is an opinion-based talk show where we feature a team of panelists from different political institutions, different political ideology, and persuasions. My name is Derek Yale. I will be playing host tonight, and you make sure, before we get into things here, make sure you're following us on all our social media platforms. That is Facebook. So that is Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and you name it. The network to follow is LRTN Live or Liberia Radio and Television Network on YouTube. Just to give you a heads up on what to expect tonight, we will bring you our current event, and we will introduce our panelists for this episode. And also, right after, we will bring you some the interesting conversations from Liberia and perhaps the diaspora. And then right after, we will take up our breaks, and then we'll bring you our closing remark. As far as current event is concerned for this episode, we will look into the U.S. elections. We know we're just a few weeks away from when Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump meet face to face in the election this year. So we are just a couple of weeks away from that. Meanwhile, the state of Florida was hit with Hurricane Milton that took over 3 million power from the state of Florida, Tampa, Florida. It has been reported that unfortunately at least 5 people lost their lives due to Hurricane Milton in that area. So if you're in the U.S. or anywhere around the world, we would like to join you and send our prayers for those that are affected by the hurricane in Tampa, Florida. With that being said, I would like to, at this point in time, introduce our panelists for this episode, and then we will introduce our discussion for the night and have our panelists give you their take on it. While we're doing that, let me encourage all of you watching us to please do us a favor, join and follow this network. Make sure you're following us on Facebook. That is the Liberia Radio and Television Network. And also make sure you're sharing this program on your social media pages so that your friends and family will be able to benefit from this discussion. For our panelists tonight, here present, we have Mr. Martin Bola, Mr. Agnew Brown, Mr. Prince Sheriff, who is here with us, just would not be showing us his videos, video or feed. With that being said, I'd like to start with you, Mr. Martin Boda. Welcome to the season finale of season 6, episode 12, season 6, and welcome. It's good to have you, Mr. Martin Boda.
Thank you, Darren. I'm glad to be here as always, and I want to say thanks to our brothers and sisters, our fellow citizens in Florida that are fighting hard to rescue people who are lost or who are in the devastating situation at the moment. Our prayers go down to them, and we also want to say thanks to Liberians listening tonight. And there's a lot to be discussed. Our moderator has said, and let's do it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Martin Boda, the season finale. It's good to have you here. As always, you've been here throughout the season. Now, let's move over to you, Mr. Agnew Brown. I know this is your debut episode. We hope to see you on a lot of episodes next season, season 7. Well, with that being said, let me come to you, Mr. Brown. Welcome to season 6, episode 12.
Yeah, Derek, thanks for having me. Thanks to the Liberia Radio and Television Network for having me as well. I'm here, and hopefully it will be a good discussion today. But I'm here, and thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Prince Sheriff, let's come over to you. Welcome. It's good to have you as well.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much, as always, Derek. And thanks to distinguished panelists on this platform. And to the audience, I also want to say welcome to all. But again, as you may be aware, we are not really in the best of times, especially here in the U.S., with what is happening, in Florida, Tampa, and also what is happening in Liberia. As you may be aware, due to bad governance and due to, the lackadaisical attitude of our own leaders, the flood is also taking over Liberia, even though ours could be easily prevented by putting into place the necessary mechanism. So, we are not in the very best of shape right now with all of these, terrible things that are happening here in the U.S. where we reside with family members, and also in Liberia with the horrible stuff that is happening with an incompetent government. So, but again, we want to say we are here. So thank you so very kindly. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sheriff. And guys, if you're watching us, more panelists will be joining us as this show progresses. But this is what we have for now. I would like to introduce the topics for tonight. But again, like I usually do, I will come to you guys for whatever interesting topic or issues that caught your attention in Liberia or the diaspora this week. You can bring that up before we get into our actual conversation. But there has been a lot of talks about corruption in this administration, so we're going to focus on that. Just yesterday, we got informed that the Commerce Minister he resigned due to allegations of corruptions. And though, despite his resignation, there were unconfirmed sources that has it that President Bouaka were going to release him of his duty as Minister of Commerce due to the same allegations of corruption as well. It's just this week, President Bouaka returned to Liberia from his what would be 11th trips in just under a year. So a lot of controversy, a lot of talks have been around that for is he excessive or is he actually doing the Liberian people work? So I'd like to bring those two conversations up tonight, and then we can talk about that. But if there's anything that caught your attention this week or the previous week or from our last show in Liberia and the diaspora, I would like to give you first the opportunity to bring that up, and then we can build our conversation from that. But I'd like to start with you since I just got from you, Mr. Sheriff. Those are the two conversations tonight, and whatever it is that caught your attention I did not mention, you're free to bring it up as well.
Yes, again, as always, as I said from the very onset, thank you so very kindly for giving me an opportunity, and thanks to our distinguished panelists, some of Liberia's finest, intellectually to discuss the issue. It's a privilege to share this platform with them. But again, we are not in the best of frame of mind, especially with what is happening. Our prayers go out, to the family of those who lost their life in Florida, according to the information that we have received so far, 5 persons. And we are hoping and praying that, the family of those who lost their life can be consoled through the hands of the Almighty. And also what is happening in Liberia, as you may be aware, Liberia, we are also going through troubling times. But it is just unfortunate that ours is created by, a government that is very incompetent, a government that has decided to, instead of doing what they were elected for, to neglect that responsibility and, do what pleases them or do what will put money in their pockets. Now, I want to start from this issue of, the resignation of Ami Muda. Look, fellow Liberians that are on this platform, it comes as a no news that Ami Muda has resigned. In fact, whoever that is associated with the Unity Party or that is associated with Joseph Newman Boyka should now even bow their heads down in shame and in disgrace. The reason why we are saying this is, before this man could take over as Commerce Minister of the Republic of Liberia, we flagged out so many issues on our different and our various platforms. The first thing we said is that Mr. Boyka appointing an Ami Muda to the position of a Commerce Minister, that would be the worst decision ever taken. Taking into consideration his history, this man is a businessman who, over the period, run businesses in Liberia and has a very vast interest, especially, in a certain group of people that he has been doing business with. And we thought that if you give this man an opportunity, there will be a disaster. Remember that there were a serious issue when the CDC-led government took over about some Liberians who collected money from the central bank, who took loan. And it was alleged that Ami Muda was one of those individuals at the time in the Unity Party that collected some huge amount from the central bank in terms of, loan or whatever money that was given. You know that when the CDC government took over, that was an issue that the CDC government has to deal with. And his name again was involved. So to see at this particular time that Ami Muda, has resigned, it only shows that Mr. Boyka is insensitive to the plight of the Liberian people, because the Liberian people have been crying from the very onset of this particular man entering office. When this man took over, what did we see? We saw Ami Muda virtually giving power to his, to his brothers, that is the Lebanese, who are in total control of the rice importation. The first meeting that was held with Joseph Newman Boyka, that picture was all over. The only people that you could see in that particular meeting, they were all Lebanese. You could not even see Liberians in that meeting. After a few hours, what did we see? We saw Mr. Ami Muda at the Ministry of Information, Cultural Affairs and Tourism addressing the public and telling us that the price of rice was about to increase from under the WIA-led government of $13. That price of rice was going to increase to $21 plus, $21 plus. He is on record. Right from there, we knew, and then we start to inform the government that, look, this man is dangerous. This man has come to exploit the system. This man is going to use his proximity to the system to be able to exploit and make sure that he solidified whatever connection that he has in the business sector. But again, Joseph Newman Boyka, being somebody who doesn't care about the people, who were not listening to the plight of the ordinary people, decided to ignore and allow Ami Muda, who also, is a Lofian, and because he is very nepotistic, and this man is a tribalist, decided to ignore the plight of the Liberian people and put Ami Muda there, as a commerce minister. And within the short period of less than a year, we all saw what happened. There was a total collapse of our economy under the stewardship of Ami Muda through his godfather or through his stepfather, Joseph Newman Boyka. Ami Muda took over. There were absolutely no control the government had over the prices of basic commodity. We saw the increase of everything on the Liberian market. You talk about those basic commodities, you talk about how you call gasoline increase, You talk about even the onion increase. You talk about even pepper on the market increase. And all Amin Moda was there to do was to sell the RPD, that is those certificates, that people can be able to import. That's all he was doing. And to empower his Lebanese, brothers and sisters. So we saw a complete collapse, and Liberian people cried that, look, Mr. Boyka, we cannot continue on this path. For an Amin Moda to continue to lead this particular ministry the way he is leading it, he only cares about making profit and only cares about empowering his people. But again, Mr. Boyka did not listen to us because he felt that Amin Moda was somehow, associated with him, and the Liberian people were making noise, so he refused to listen. And at the end of the day, this is where we are. After this man has taken almost about $90-something thousand and bought a car that was approved by Joseph Newman Boyka, and he has come to resign, which Joseph Newman Boyka has absolutely nothing to do with that. It's a mistake. If anybody will say, Mr. Boyka.
Thank you, Mr. Sheriff.
We'll talk more on that. Thank you.
You raised a lot of serious issues. Some of them I noted them down that I would like to come back to you on. But let me get the other panelist position on this Amin Moda resignation. I will come to you next, Mr. Boda, and then after Mr. Brown will take you. Talk to us about these two issues, but again, I will give you the chance to talk about whatever issue you want to talk about. But I think you listened to Mr. Sheriff. He raised a lot of issues specifically to the resignation. So if you can talk about that, I will appreciate it. Mr. Boda.
Unfortunate. And my brother Sheriff is twisting the entire argument on Mr. Boakai. And Mr. Moda is a Liberian citizen, and he has every right to serve his people if we are given the opportunity. And we have three branches of government who evaluates people when they are being appointed into offices. And I'm glad that Mr. Sheriff can allude to the fact that the very CDC loan money to Mr. Moda, and that money, they did not investigate Moda, they did not retrieve that money. He talked about Liberian people money, and he's trying to talk about Mr. Boakai. And you're seeing a government who is showing you that if somebody is going wrong, they're going to take actions. And the people playing have been heard by the president. The president was ready to take actions to remove Mr. Moda of the wrongdoing. And that should be applauded by every Liberian, meaningful Liberian. If you serve the Liberian people and you do the wrong thing, you must be removed. And Mr. Moda being a businessman, and he mismanaged, and he take play a game with himself, taking bribe from a key player in the Liberian economy, the Metal Steel. That didn't sell well with any meaningful Liberian. It's not a partisan issue. This got nothing to do with politics. It got to do with honesty and serving your people. So what right belongs, let's put it there. You understand what I'm saying? So, Sherry, I beg to differ with you. This is not everything will politicize or go in that route, and try to condemn the president. The president have the right to appoint people, and you have people there to validate that appointments. And if those cases happens, and the man served and he didn't do well, he has to be removed or he resign. And I think that's the right thing to do. The horrible thing that Mr. Moda did for himself by leaving, because they're pushing out. So let us not talk about Boakai. Feel that the government is working and doing the things that they can do. Mr. Moda, we got a free enterprise economy that the president and market control itself. So I hope you understand what a free enterprise is. Rice, the Brown government does not produce gasoline. So it's based on the market share value of the market that you see prices go up and down. It fluctuates. So if you don't understand that, the LeBron government will put money in the hands of Lebanese to keep them at bay so that they can bring rice and sell it to a poor for $13. So you didn't add that part to it. The amount of millions of dollars that went in the packet of rice importer from the CDC-led government and prior government, you didn't say about that. So let's put those facts in check. So you have a free enterprise that the market control itself.
Thank you.
That to note. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Boda. You two raised a lot of different issues, some of which is contrary to what Mr. Sheriff raised. I will come back to both of you later, but let me hear from Mr. Brown. Mr. Brown, talk to us on this Amin Moda. and other issues that caught your interest this week?
So one thing that you brought up that caught my interest is the excessive traveling of the president. Now, I will go into like details. I think that, for example, Joe Biden, we said the president, Joseph Boakai, traveled 11 times this year under or year, correct?
Oh no, yeah. Actually, I want for us to develop this, with that resignation, and then we will get to it next. So, I have a couple of questions. I'm sorry for interrupting, but we were going to get to just one for the DV and kind of like a talking circle here.
Come back to me on that one. I want to speak about Boakai traveling.
Okay, yeah. Let me stay with you, Mr. Boda, right? And you made a point. You said, and Mr. Boda, Boda is a Liberian, and I saw. So you kind of contradicting what Prince said. He shouldn't have been. It was wrong to appoint him in the first place. But now my question to you is, President Boakai has just accepted his resignation. Now, if he's resigning on allegation of corruption, and the words were on the street that he was going to get fired anyway on allegation of corruption, most Liberians want for the president to do just more than him just firing him or him resigning, so the Liberian people can have an account for taxpayer money. Do you think the president actions, just resigning, do you think that somebody recommending for them to do further investigation, other allegation of corruption that is labeled on the former minister, Mr. Boda?
Well, quite frankly, Mr. Modai has not yet been cleared of any wrongdoing. So let's establish a fact. He had put himself out there, sending his resignation of an allegation leveled against him for using $96,000 United States dollars to buy a vehicle for his personal vehicle. That is in question. So that investigation is currently ongoing. So that does not negate the fact of him being free. He's not a free man. He's going to go through investigation. He's going to be investigated, and the funding will lead to wherever that has to be done to. If we have to retrieve or remedy that money, it has to be done. So Mr. Modai is not because he has resigned, so it's over. I'm not in favor of him just walking scot-free. If that is what you're asking, Mr. Modai should be investigated. If any wrongdoing is found, and let him go face the law. If you have to face the consequence, let it be. That's what we want to establish. Not just somebody walking here because you did wrong and they offer you resign and you go scot-free. If that's the case, I personally would firm Mr. Boakai.
Now my question. Let me ask you one more question before I go to Mr. Sheriff. Mr. Sheriff alluded to, if President Boakai knows that Mr. Boda is not one of the morally upright person, or he has some scenes of corruption to him, why would him appoint him as Minister of Commerce anyways, or him being a businessman? Mr. Boda.
That is that fight for Sheriff. That fight, he's not proving anything. The man took loan from the real government for businesses. Mr. Modai is a businessman who is a credible businessman, employ Liberian that work for him. That's separate from his role as a Minister of Commerce.
So would you say
he has the Minister of Commerce?
What did you think of the appointment? What do you think of his appointment as Minister of Commerce personally?
He has the credentials to be a Minister of Commerce. He didn't perform.
Let's go back to Prince. Mr. Sheriff, I'm sorry. Now earlier you said that Mr. President Boakai shouldn't have appointed Mr. Boda, not Mr. Boda, but Mr. Moda. Anyways, I'm sorry, Mr. Moda. Anyways, but and Mr. Boda made a point that he has the potential. Why do you have a problem with Mr. Sheriff? First of all, and there is this notion in Liberia that because of how long we've corruption, the people that already got money for themselves are the ones that supporting government. Now, how does that argument align with now Mr. Boda? Not Boda. I keep messing the name up. The former Commerce Minister. the former Commerce Minister. Now, how does his wealth before the job kind of align with that argument that's being placed. Mr. Sheriff.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Listening to Mr. Boda, and he made some point. The first thing that I want to correct here is Amin Moda did not receive money from the CDC-led government. That money was received from the central bank under the administration of Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf when her tenure was about to expire. You know, everybody was rushing for the piece of the cake. So all of them went to the central bank. You know the story where even the late son of the president was even, you know, arrested, and there were some other people, Double Jala and the rest of the other guys. So you know of the story. That was not from the unity. That was not from the CDC party. So let it be made clear. Now, with the second issue, I'm listening to him talking about the issue of the mayor qualification. Look, my brother Derek and distinguished panelists on this line. So many people in this particular Boyka-led administration that we can point to and say, yes, they have the qualification. But do they have the moral qualification? You can have the physical qualification, you can have the academic qualification, but do you have the moral qualification? Now, let's give you an example here with this Amin Moda. Let me go back into history so that I can remind the people to know who Moda is. You remember of the serious defeat that the Unity Party suffered in the hands of the CDC in Lofa County. You remember that when Councillor Jara was elected. Now, there was this allegation of the party under Mr. Moda's watch receiving almost about 85,000 United States dollars for a campaign in Lofa County. And that particular money, again, under the watchful eyes of Mr. Amin Moda, that money was mismanaged. Something which led to him not even being retaining the seat as a chairperson of the party. Because remember, after that, they lost the election, and when they went for their convention, we all know what happened. Amin Moda, you know, did not run because of all of these, you know, corruption allegation that was placed on his head and etc. So looking at the history of this particular man and coming to give him job, then you're talking about morality. This man lacks what we call the moral. He may have the qualification, but he lacks the moral. Let's take, for example, the recent act that just happened. Let's look at the circumstances surrendering this whole issue of the car. Where did it came from? Medtech. A company that is seriously conflicted, a company that was condemned by the Boyka-led administration, and it was also part of their campaign plan. They said, oh, Medtech, not supposed to be here, the people they are rule. In fact, all of the negative connotation that you think that they can give, you know, a company was given to Medtech. But here is it. We saw Amin Moda taking over. The first people that he ran to was the same Medtech that was able to give him money. So Amin Moda's resignation, it was not because this man is a moral upright man. In fact, the man is a good man, so that the reason why he resigned. Mr. Moda's resignation is purely in the web of corruption. Because he did not resign just like that. It was because of corruption. Now, if Joseph Nima Boyka is a serious president that wants to fight the issue of corruption, Amin Moda right now should not even be sitting down to his house. Amin Moda right now should be in the custody of law enforcement officer answering questions as it relates to this particular $90+ million that was given to him. But here is it. Under this Joseph Nima Boyka government, you have Amin Moda, a man who took money from how you call a company that is somehow is sitting down to his house. Then you think we must believe this man or we must trust in Joseph Nima Boyka's ability to fight corruption? When even under his watch, to learn with this, under his watch, the same people that part of the party, his own party chairman, took almost about $300,000 during the inaugural fund. Did Joseph Nima Boyka prosecute his own, how you call, party chairman? And today they made a board chair of MPA. So Joseph Nima Boyka is just a complete disgrace and an enabler of corruption for these people.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sheriff. Let's recognize the presence of Bishop Hagar. Bishop Hagar, thank you for joining the show.
Yeah, but I want to address Prince Sherry immediately because I know.
Bishop Hagar, you literally just introduce yourself to the show first.
There are people in CDC that confess red tape, red-handed, they confess to corruption. There's a corruption King Kong. He ever did anything to them? When people, even the international community asked him for the people to be fired, he ever did anything? Did he ever do anything? You're corrupt judge, you ever did anything? Then you want to talk, you want to act yet tonight, can talk about there's everywhere in the world. When someone repetition is actually a problem for the integrity of the government, the person resigns. That's what is done all over the world. What you
The
want
man
to talk?
stole before. The man stole. We all know what happened with the Medtex money. He stole before leaving. We know what happened. This man under the
That's
CDC-led government,
nonsense.
absolutely. This issue were never like under the CDC-led government. No, let it be made clear that the resignation of this man is based on the Medtech issue. Let it be made clear. The bishop will not come here and provide inaccurate information to the audience. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Any of the power that you're talking about?
Now tell my game on when I tell my game, the chairman of the CDC,
Mr. Bweka is an enabler of corruption in our government. This man is an enabler. This is the reason why the CDC government was voted out. Let's not go back. Let's not retrogress. Let us progress. Let us not retrogress. Let us progress. Let us not retrogress. Let us progress. Is Joseph Numa Bweka traveling with $100,000 on his car while the Liberian people are suffering?
Mr. Sheriff, guys, I
got a point to make, please.
Hold on. I'm not going to encourage the exchange today. This is the season finale. Let's have a discussion. Let's follow we all know the rules here.
On your show is an incredible show of Prince come here and come here.
Bishop Hagar, everybody here to defend their position. Let's protect each other. Let's everyone make their point.
Why the man been talking for forever? Time.
Bishop Hagar, if you have a rebuttal, I will give you the opportunity to give to respond to Mr. Sheriff, but we can't be talking over each other. We got people watching us to enjoy the show. These are very serious discussions that we need to have them observing the room, the rules of the room. Let's protect each other. Mr. Sheriff, I'm going to go back to Bishop Hagar. I'll give him 2 minutes. Let him make his point. If you have any rebuttal, I will come to you or whoever the panelists next. But let's protect each other. Bishop Hagar, you have the floor.
Listen, the Minister of Commerce resigned because of the right thing. The letter of resignation said he felt that his president the government would be kind of a diversion. People will be talking about this thing that, listen, the opportunity for the institution that we have to investigate whether there were corrupt practice exhibited, and people will face the consequences. But if your president is an embarrassment, political embarrassment for administration, the right thing to do is to resign. And Liberia is not a unique country. It happens all over the world. It happens all over the world. When you in a government, you can't yourself. If everybody talking about your vehicle and stamp, the government has some major things to do. And it's just a right for a responsible government and a responsible person to say, listen, this man, if you really know a Liberian person to go check, this man did not come in government to make money. The man was already successful. It's not somebody that came here. Nobody will come and say, Mr. Moda, I don't have money.
Let me move on to the next panel because you have exhausted 2 minutes. Bishop Hagar, but let me come to you, Mr. Brown. Isn't that, or just I'm going to ask you a question based on what Bishop Hagar just said. If you say this man, and it also serves to paint a picture for this administration. If you say this man is not, he already had his own money before he came in power. But in just under a year, 10 months and few days, if I'm not mistaken, he's painting such a bad picture for the government on allegations of corruption. He had his own money, according to Bishop Hagar. But here is it today, it's just less than a year, and he's painting this picture of corruption on this government. What do you think about that? And secondly, this administration's reactions to the former commerce minister. This is President Bweka. Again, I keep stressing this point. Less than a year, and we are having these issues. What do you make of his competence that he sold to the Liberian people? Over 40 years of serving in government, you have a cabinet minister, the administration having gone on for more than a year, and we're having issues of corruptions. What do you make of that? And this is a man that promised to come and fight corruption.
Yeah. For one thing, I would say is just to the point that the other gentleman left, Prince, I believe. I think that his point is why this guy have this much heavy allegation on him when he's still walking free in the country for right now, right? This is why we want the president to step in and then help us understand why such a thing's happening. So I feel like that was his main point. His main point is the president should at least help out in making us understand what is going on. Because right now, this guy, the alleged guy, he's walking around free. He's walking around a free man since his resignation. Because usually his resignation has triggered guilt. So I feel like the President Bouaka is very incompetent, and he should step in to try to help people out.
Thank you.
I get a rebuttal to what the gentleman just said.
I will come back. I will come to you, but let's hear from Mr. Boda first. If it is, and I'm going to highlight one of the comments. If it were corruption, what would be the consequences, Mr. Boda?
So yeah, here's what we need to understand. An allegation was made of a vehicle being bought for $96,000 from Majesty as a gift to the Minister of Commerce, which is not a good idea. Being a minister, receiving such a gift that amount in his position. So that's administrative wrong that he did. Mr. Moda did not write a check from the Commerce Ministry's account to buy a vehicle for himself. So let's establish that. And there's a public outcry because of that behavior, which is wrong as a public official to go out there receiving such a gift. Okay? So Mr. Moda had not gone to write any check because of his immorality that he did to receive such an amount. He's now being forced to resign from his position, and which is a reputable thing that he did. So there is not a crime committed yet. But there is not a crime committed.
Who forced him to resign?
Hold on.
Let's put Mr. Boda.
I'm sorry.
So there is not a crime committed yet. He received a gift for the Ministry of Commerce. And Mr. Moda had written a check from the account of the Ministry of Commerce for personal use. Yes, you can say, oh, why are he walking? Even at that, you still have to go to court. You can't just grab somebody today because they say, oh, there's an allegation of money being mismanaged. You have to go through the legal process. That's why we have a system of law. So you can't just grab somebody. There are many people working in the Republic of Liberia today who have been alleged to steal money from the Liberia government. So we can't just grab somebody because they say you stole money. You must go through the legal process,
right,
and have a day in court. Mr. Moda is still answerable to the Liberian government and all it.
Before I move on to Bishop Hager, though, what you were saying is true? I think the initial part of your statement will incriminate Mr. Moda, because if you're saying he received gift of $96,000 to purchase a car, that's a violation of the policy there at the Ministry of Commerce, anyways. So maybe you're saying maybe Prince is right. He shouldn't be staying home. Is that what you're saying?
Policy violation is not a criminal offense. It's a policy. This is administrative.
I understand. This is not.
No. So do not make a policy a violation to be a crime.
No, I think the angle I'm asking my question from.
So let's establish the fact that Mr. Moda did not write. I'm telling to you that there is no record to say Mr. Moda wrote and approved a $96,000 check from the Ministry of Commerce budget.
He did receive
or a business partner gave him $96,000.
Thank you. That's what I'm saying. I understand that it's a gift.
A gift is not a crime.
No, it most definitely. But if it is against the policy that Ministry of Commerce,
then the penalty is to either be removed or fired from that position.
Let me move this over to Bishop Hager. If this is a gift and it's against the policy there at the Ministry of Commerce, and we have a president that appointed this minister and promised the Liberian people to fight corruption in order to show his seriousness in that fight, don't you think that Mr. Moda today should be facing some type of consequences or at least some type of serious investigation instead
you don't know that yet.
Instead of just the mediocre resignation. But let me
you don't know that yet. The man submitted a resignation and it's not accepted. So
No,
do you expect the president to launch and say the man go to jail?
I don't know. Mr. Boda, let's hear from Bishop Hager.
Moderator, you have become a de facto propagandist for the CDC.
I'm here to ask the question, Bishop Hager. However you want to term it.
Say that. Listen. Let's be serious here. We are serious people. Like we belong to all of us.
I agree.
Have our cake and eat it at the same time. This country is a country of laws. There are procedures. You are never guilty until you go to a court of competent jurisdiction. The allegation was made that the man violated ethics. He not supposed to take gift for a company, compromise his position. He said, okay, if the public outcry, the right thing to do to take a political decision to resign. Now, those competent institutions, those responsible to look at the ethical violation, will now go through the due process. Mr. Muda not running away like Summer 2 never running away after they stole all the money, that corrupt CDC. Let me tell you something, we are responsible government. People who are being accused must go to court. The judge is the one that can make any decision like in America. You can be accused of anything. A judge look at the merit and the demerit a case and throw it away. Nobody can say no. If you have problem with a judge decision, you go to the appeal court. The how it operates. We can't make Liberia to be different. Why we want to make a president to be the one to be the police officer, to be the judge, to be a sentencing officer? What's that? Yeah, you generally be serious, man. Do your investigation. The thing that happened that week, they must fire the man, they must put him in jail immediately. What kind of country is that? Is the man found guilty?
Bishop Hager, I understand you.
Really serious. We keep here to talk serious thing. The man did the right thing. I applaud him for it. If anybody know the man have corrupt, they have institution, let's go through the due process. That's it. Every civilized country, Liberia cannot remain uncivilized. People just wake up one day, they lie on you, say anything, everybody believe it, and you must go to jail for it. What's that? What the judge there for? What the court there for?
I will stay with you and ask you this question. I admire the NNJ, but we got to have our audience informed on this entire process and what of you. Now, how is President Bouaga showing his seriousness to fight corruption in the case of former Minister Amin Moda? You seem like you're very informed on this process. Now he resigned. President Bouaga accepted his resignation. What is going to happen next? In the case of former Commerce Minister Amin Moda, what do you think, or what would you recommend?
Well, listen, Honorable His Excellency Joseph Yoman Bouaga said in his statement that there will be no business as usual. That is a major warning to every stakeholder, everyone who will exercise their authority and steal money from the Liberian people. If the evidence are there, you will go through the due process. And if you are found guilty, there will be no political decision. Like doing jobs, we have people stole money, international communicating with evidence, and you couldn't do nothing. Incompetent. I mean,
I'm not going to let you get into the comparing the government to the previous
government. Is being responsible. The president is fighting corruption by receiving the resignation letter.
So,
listen.
Bishop Hager, I have to recognize the presence of Mr. Randy. So let me allow you to finish your point. But I'm not going, Bishop Hager. I protect you. I want you to protect me. So again, you said President Bouaga promised that this would not be business as usual. So now you're holding Bouaga to that standard. That in the case of former Minister Amin Moda, he will actually goes forward with what the process is. Investigation. If he's found guilty, he bear the consequences for it. I'm asking you, are you going to hold President Bouaga to that standard?
the man have made it very clear, holding to his word. That's it. And then when people are resigning, if they are following allegations, they ask them to resign, they resign. And the process continues. That's what every responsible government would do.
Thank you. Thank you. Before we recognize the presence of Mr. Randy, I don't know if you have any rebuttal, or Mr. Brown or Mr. Boda, but I'd like to take rebuttal before I recognize the presence of Mr. Randy. You're on mute.
Sorry, I just have a question. A government official getting gifts or accepting gifts, is it unethical or is unlawful?
Unethical.
In Liberia Constitution.
No, gift is not in the Constitution.
Accepting gift, yes, it is. I'm reading the Constitution right in front of me. I'm asking you a question.
What part of the Constitution?
Wait, hold on. I'm not. That's not what I'm doing. I'm asking a question.
Here's a question directed to
the bishop and Mr. Mark. I'm sorry, I don't know the last name.
Martin, no problem. Yeah, what your question is? What your question is? It unethical or is criminal? What is it?
Yeah, is it? Yes, that's my question.
So
accepting as a gift for a government official, for a government official to accept a gift in our Liberia Constitution, is it unethical or is unlawful?
Well, I got to look at the article in the Constitution because I'm not going.
That's why we have to go first. That's what we have to do first. You have to understand
what I'm saying to you is gift. Every institution has policies on gift accepting. They got a month that you can receive as gift.
If you say Constitution, we talk about the government. The government is fall under one law. There's not a separate constitutional law with different government branches.
The Constitution has nothing to do with administrative policies.
In a government?
In any institution.
Okay.
A government, the administration has a policy. The policy is not constitutional. Okay? It's not a constitution, it's not a law. It's a policy. So you cannot equate the Constitution with policy.
But my question is to you is this.
Hold on, let me finish.
In the Constitution, right? Do we have?
I don't want to dwell on the constitutional matter
because that's what we need to dwell on to figure out what is what I did. You have to dwell on
that level.
That's what I'm saying.
That level yet.
What I'm saying is, what I think we should do is figure out
what you think you should do. That's your thinking. Say what you think you want to do. What could be done.
But what should happen? What should happen? What right now we are trying to figure out if unethical, what he did was unethical. It's not only unethical, it's unlawful. That's the battle I want to get first. It's unlawful.
No, it's not. It's not a law. That's what I'm saying to you. It's not a law.
Now, I think we all get
that issue is not a law. That's why I want you to clarify that this is not a law.
But let me
receiving gift from somebody.
But what my question was to you is this: have you read that part of the Constitution that says that you cannot accept?
Can you show me the article? I can bring my Constitution and read it. What article? Just tell me. So tell me the article.
I want you to.
Tell me the article. I will go to it and find it. I'll bring my book. I'll bring the Constitution.
I need you. It's not unethical. It's not unethical. It's unlawful. That's the very first thing you do. It's not unethical. It's unlawful.
For your Constitution. Let me come back to Bishop Hagar. Bishop Hagar. And I want to ask you a quick question before I go to Mr. Randy. And I apologize, Mr. Randy. You mentioned earlier that Mr. Boda, not Mr. Boda, but Mr. Modad, he accepted gift, which you think is unethical. You think is wrong, and because of that, you think his resignation was in good faith. The president accepted it. Now, what would you say when President? What did you say when President Bouaga accepted gift? What was your position? Do you think the Liberian people should ask him to resign as well?
Read it. Go. Let's see. Please, if you have the article.
When the president received gifts on behalf of the country, different than receiving gift for personal use. You want to mention about those yellow machines? It was two different things.
You know what? Let me recognize the president of I'm not trying to hear you.
Go somewhere. Listen, if we see gift on behalf of the country, Liberia is a whole country, and it is. I receiving gift every day and sending to Liberia to build school. Nothing wrong with that. It's not corruption. We having to help the poor people. Then talking about corruption.
I'm not. You know, let's hear from you, Mr. Randy.
Right on the road.
I apologize for the delay, but welcome to the show, and you can give your input on this, or Modai Resignation.
Yeah, so thank you so much for joining. For allowing me to join the team here. Excuse me again. I apologize for coming on late. I have other things to do, so please pardon me. But I have been listening to the conversation throughout, and I want to appreciate everyone for participating in the process. Moda, for me, we have to look at the good, the bad, and the ugly from Amin Moda. I think what Amin Moda did, from owning responsibility, owning errors, is something that I really want to commend, because it is not common in Liberia for public officials to resign. Some of the contributing factor to their refusal is they have political connection with the high ups, or they are well connected in the system. So as far as Mr. Moda resigning, it kind of show that he is an individual who respects the rule of law, ethics, and try to exhibit that behavior to show to other people that this is how things should be done. What I see as a missed opportunity for the Boakai administration, there are major parties involved in what happens. The MedTech, the LRA, all the stakeholders in this incident. I think if I were advising Mr. Boakai, he would have established a committee or investigator to either suspend everyone involved without pay or with pay, and then begin the investigation. The investigation will be tailored to, I think Ellen Johnson said it in 2012, signed an executive order. It should be within the code of conduct, not in the Constitution, but I think it should be in Article 90, something like that, that has to do with public official not taking bribe, not receiving bribe. Now, the committee should look at what actually went wrong as far as the process goes. And the process will be based on what Martin mentioned about policy, what policy were violated and why. And then the next step is what has been the president himself setting the tune against corruption, who listen and who not listen. And then look at the code of conduct as well and see what went wrong. And then come up with a comprehensive findings that will show and put things into context that, hey guys, all the guys that were involved, they kind of violated the code of conduct, or maybe Executive Order 38, signed by Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, or they did something unethically wrong, and based on this, we have to let them go. But I think the way it is being handled, that is why people from both sides and those in the middle are still confused in the process, because there are people who saying, but the LRA were involved. Yes, if the LRA is considered to be a suspicious institution, then they also need to be investigated to provide why they are part of the process. So I think President Boakai missed the opportunity, to really, define what has happened, because this is one of the major things that have happened in his government, that we have seen a minister resigning, but we are still trying to put the pieces together to understand. And for me, I believe in root cause investigation. I'm a policy-driven guy, and we investigate things, we determine what went wrong, why it went wrong, and how can we fix it. We look at the contributing factor, we look at the causes factor, we look at the root cause, and then we put in place preventative or corrective action. And based on that framework, on that structure, I don't think it served the purpose. But I think, Moda, for me, This is a gentleman I know very well. I think what he did, as far as resigning, I'm going to give him a positive on that. I don't care what other people would say, whether it's CDC, Unity Party people, what he did, it was not common for people in the CDC government to do that. I suppose CDC, but like I always tell them, I'm a policy guy. I'm trained in the United States to look at facts, not to look at biasness and pseudoscience of political identity. I don't believe in pseudoscience of political identity. I believe in the reality of policy driven. I know they would. So there are some missed opportunities for boycott, whereas there is a room for improvement. But I would like to say kudos to Mr. Amin Moda. But again, for the CDC themselves, one of the major political party in the country, the question should be, if you want to have the argument, is who in the government, that was voluntarily, resigned, other than the United States issuing that mandate that DCAS has been sanctioned, so they won't resign. There were instances that I believe happened in the CDC government that could have led to similar thing that Amin Moda did, but CDC chose the other way around. And I'm looking at Amin Moda and say, okay, this guy understood what he did. He owned his mistake. He acknowledged his mistake. He held himself accountable. And he said, look, I got to give it up because ethically it's going to make the government look bad. But on the bright side, he served as the sacrifice of integrity. And we just got to take a page from him. So there's a good side, there's a bad side, there's an ugly side, Derek. And thank you for that.
Let me stay with you and ask you this question, though. I know you admired what he did, accepting what he did was wrong, and eventually resigning from his position. Now, what do you think should happen? How do you think President Bouakai should handle this after a resignation to just show a strong face in his fight against corruption that he promised to Liberian people? Now, since saying that apparently President Bouakai too, they admire his position to resign from the government because he issued a letter accepting his resignation. Do you think President Bouakai should stay on this, like investigate him, or just as business as usual in Liberia, just let it be, and instead of him showing a strong face in his fight against corruption? What do you think?
I'm thank you for the question. I think it's a very, very valid question because nowadays we live in an era of where we're supposed to be defining problems and asking ourselves why it happened and how can we fix it. So I think, coming back to your question, what President Bouakai need to do is, why do we have the problem in the first place? Well, we have the problem in the first place because there are speculation out there that state that Amin Moda had done something wrong. Why it is true that we are not going through the due process, I'm not going to go out there and say Amin Moda is guilty. We have to establish rule of law, due process. In this country, you can see somebody killing somebody, the police will tell you, say you have your right to a lawyer. You got to go through the due process. We are in a country now where we need to teach our people. The 14-year Civil War has destroyed the mind of our people. And whatever we do, monkey see, monkey does. So we need to establish this thing, no matter who you are, how guilty you are. And we must go through the due process. So for me, I think there's still an opportunity. Amin Moda is out there, but we still need to get the facts. Resigning is just a symbolic representation that he owned a mistake and he acknowledged it's wrong. But what we need to establish too now is what went wrong, how can we fix it, and what can we teach everyone who's still in the government, and how can they move forward. Therefore, I'm calling on President Bouakai to establish some type of investigative committee, and you can look for people who are clean background, non-partisan. Look for them in the 4th estates, people in the community. Look for vet them. Some people in the government. You have integrity institution, the LACC, the GAC. Find these people and have them established. Let them only be focused on the policy, the rule of law, and begin to define the problem, look at the process, who went wrong, and then come up with the findings. And the finding will be something that if it went wrong, who are those that went wrong? Hold them accountable, and then put in place the corrective action. That way you'll be teaching the incoming generation. So he needs to follow up on the investigation by putting together, I won't say an adjunct committee, but some type of integrity, joint committee that will investigate the process. Because for us, And I'm a process improvement guy. I want to know what happened and how can I prevent it from happening and from happening again.
Thank you very much, Mr. Randy. And guys, if you're watching us, this is the season finale of season 6. It is officially episode 12, 6 of the Hard Zone. We will take our first break, but first let me talk briefly about the we've been seeing stories on the president. The president actually this week just returned from what would be his 11th trips in a little over 10 months, actually. And there has been a controversy over this. The president is saying, were most of these trips or some of them necessary, or is it beneficial to this country, or is it excessive, especially where there were heavy criticism on the previous administration on former President George Bush, and we have excessive foreign trips. We will get into that conversation, but let's take our first break, and we will see you guys after the break.
Welcome to your new home away from home in the heart of Margibi County, Liberia. This privately owned guest house located at Disco Hill provides a spacious home for vacation rentals, including 3 comfortably decorated bedrooms and 4 bathrooms. Here, we aim to meet the need of every one of our guests. Do you plan on hosting a meeting? Invite your team to our expansive lounging area, which is perfect for conferences. Let our attentive staff help you celebrate life's biggest moments with your loved ones in our spacious indoor and outdoor event area with chairs, tables, and all your event needs. Whether you're visiting home from abroad or right here in Liberia, we're ready to take your call. Welcome home. Call us now to book your reservation at your new home away from home. Celebrating the lives of our dearly departed loved ones is no easy task. That's why you become family the minute you walk through the doors of the Exodus Funeral Chapel. Exodus Funeral Chapel is deeply committed to helping you navigate your way through this difficult time. Our services are reliable, affordable, and professional. Call us, visit our website, or feel free to stop by in person for your consultation. At the Exodus Funeral Chapel, we believe in the dignity of your loved ones. Empathy and respect is the goal of our staff. Exodus Funeral Chapel. Empathy, respect, and dignity.
On the production thing.
Bring it back.
Right. Well, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is episode 12 of season 6 of The Hard Zone. And guys, let me just start with this conversation. If you're watching us, make sure you're sharing this program on your individual social media pages. And make sure you're following us. This is the Liberia Radio and Television Network. This is season 6, episode 12 of The Hard Zone. My name is Derek Yale. I'm playing host tonight. I'm here with my panelists, Bishop Hager, Mr. Randy, and Mr. Boulder. Now, February 13 to 15, President Bouaka traveled to Ghana, and that is of 2024, traveled to Ghana, and this trip sparked controversy. And the executive management page reported that he was going to Ghana to meet with his friends, but upon his return, it was reported that he did not indeed meet with President Akufo-Addo of Ghana. In fact, the president was out of the country. Reports had it that he went for medical reasons. March 7 to March 9, the president traveled to Ivory Coast and on discussions relative to Liberia and Cote d'Ivoire Framework Agreement. March 6 to 9, 2024, and he returns on the 15th to Dallas, Texas, the United States for Africa Business Summit. June 1st to the 8th, 2024, South Korea, the Korea-Africa Summit. Several bilateral meetings and a lot of memorandums of understanding that we did. We're not sure how that benefited Liberian people, but we hope that the panelists here that are defending that cause will tell us tonight. June 28th to the 30th of 2024, back to Ghana. Guest of honor, the 18th commencement ceremony of the Regional Maritime University. How that was beneficial to the Liberian people again. We are waiting to hear the panelists on that. July 6th to 8th of 2024 to Nigeria, the 65th ordinary session of ECOWAS Authority and Heads of State and Government. August 19th to the 25th, 2024, Atlanta, Georgia, the 124th National Black Business Conference. September 1st to 3rd, 2024, Bali, Indonesia, the second Indonesia Africa Forum. September 3rd to 11th, 2024, China, Forum on the China-Africa Summit Corporation. September 17th to 20th, the Toronto, Canada 2024 Liberia Forum Investment. September 20th to October 7th, where he just returned. New York, the U.S., the 79th session of the United Nations General Assembly, totaling 11 trips in just over 10, or just few days over 10 months. Now, guys, there's been a lot of controversy around this. As these trips benefited the Liberian people, was some or most of these trips necessary? Or is President Bouaka traveling as the previous administration? Or do you think it's excessive? And let's not forget that most of these trips, or all of them, were paid by taxpayer money, one way or the other. These trips included delegates that were also paid for by Liberian taxpayer money. I'd like to start this conversation with you, Mr. J. Randy, because I finished with you last. So you can set up us for this conversation, and then we'll take it from there. Mr. Randy.
Yes, and thank you for that orderly lineup that you gave for the good timeline. This is where I would say that I think the Bouaka administration is struggling to structure things that actually can be visibly seen by Liberians. You see, Derek, when people are campaigning, they run on a platform of things that they identify in the society, and those things are listed as their campaign message or messages, and they are put on as their campaign platform. And eventually, if the candidate becomes president, the next step is to begin to put those things into policy. And policy should be driven by whatever framework they have had. It is very unfortunate at this time of the year, as you mentioned, almost 9 months in office, and President Bouaka is yet to come up with a national development agenda that will integrate and incorporate the arrest program. So even up to this point, every ministry agency in the country is yet to begin to develop their goal, objective, mission as to how each ministry is going to look at what are the elements within the agenda or the arrest agenda that are being developed into the National Development Plan. What is in there for agriculture? What is in there for health? Nothing has been done so far. And we have just entered the fourth quarter of the year. And very soon, January, because the government runs on the normal calendar year, unlike before it used to start in July and then cycle back in July. But 3 months from now, we will be entering the new year, and we are looking to get it rolled out. So nothing in that direction was done, Derek. And what does that mean? It means that whatever the Bouaka administration has been doing, it has just been based on what other people think that need to happen, but it doesn't really address what should have been the national agenda that you can actually look at and say, what are we going to the places? Now, with that not being in place, I don't blame President Bouaka. He looks up to the people around him, but the way the people are managing the president, it shows that they themselves too need to be managed. There are trips, and the country budget is stretched. The country reoccurrence budget is based on the taxpayer that we have in the country, and taking the large trip. It is difficult to travel with the president than for few guys like the Minister of Foreign Affairs, the National Investment Commission to travel. It kind of reduce costs, and but if they can make it effective. With that being said, I know the Dallas conference, it was more presidential invitation, but the one in, I would say, South Korea, of course, it was also a presidential, but gave Jeremiah Kuhn the opportunity to travel and see and gain some experience too. And to build on that, you could have Vice President Jeremiah Kuhn go in there along with the National Investment Commission. And one thing that I also saw too as a deviation, a gap, whenever they go to the conferences, I don't see them showcasing the natural resources of Liberia geographically. You know how you have a power slide, people, you make use of that opportunity to say, Lofa has this, Bomi has this. These are things that should be coming out of the national development agenda, because you asked the National Commission, I want you to showcase to me what you're going to tell the people over there. Tell me, convince me here, and do a rehearsal, and you do those snapshot of thing. But we didn't see those things coming to fruition, and that's why some of us, including myself, often question President Polka, because there is a turnaround time. If you leave Dallas in May, by around September into October, we want to see investor coming to the country to do a visual assessment of what you actually presented to them and what they're about to see. We didn't see nothing so far. South Korea, we didn't see nothing so far. The only thing we saw was people just selecting, people coming with they got people who are extrovert and introvert. Extrovert people are people who talk. They convince people. So for example, Mandela Cooper and others went to Ghana. They brought bosses. Oh, President Polka, we got bosses here. Next thing you know, the people who supporting President Polka came out. Yeah, we got a deal done. But when you look at things, there was no due diligence done as to how the bosses will fit on the road, what type of agreement, and in the end, it went back. Then that became a negative on the government. So if you have a performance cross where every performance cross from January to December, draw a cross, and every block on that cross, there are 12 blocks. For every block represent 1 month. So if you look at performance cross, bosses went back to Ghana, that's a red. All right, whatever the president does in every month, that's a blue. That means you see the red, the blue. If you count the number of red versus the blue, that means things are not going well. The yellow machine came in the country. We all want yellow machine. We all want improvement. But to have the president erecting the speaker and say, oh, this is an ongoing situation, it kind of shows that the people around the president, they are not really reading into things, and the president will be forced to be the last person to
Thank
go
you.
out. He set the tune. And so overall, these are things that I think need to be addressed, structured, and the best way to do that is to address those things by developing the national agenda where you will incorporate the arrest, and then people will start to look at the arrest and start to develop their program.
Thank you very much, and I like that you close with the point point which I think is very important to this discussion about the president publishing the national development agenda, and then we, as just on people watching his performance in the government, can be able to follow through and see, okay, this is what he say he would do, and this is what he's doing. So at least we can understand the nature of some of these trips. Let me come down to you, Bishop Haggard, and then I will take Mr. Brown right after. Bishop Haggard, talk to us. 11 trips in less than 11 months. Do you think it's excessive? Talk to us.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you, all of you. My understanding is that you guys love Liberia, and based on the pressing need of the Liberian people expect that every trip will have some material dividend, something tangible that need to come to the Liberian people. And we do understand the pressure on the government to deliver. The president, upon his return, the question was asked at the Raleigh International Airport, and he gave a clear answer. He said these trips are investment, and every one of us knows that when you invest, you don't start eating the investment immediately. So let every organized government, and I get it, some of you may be experts in diplomatic organization or how things are done on the global stage, but the presence of the president at any high level meeting give enough impetus that major negotiations take place backstage. There are some things that involve Liberia position in the world and how we create new friends. And after some time, those visits do reciprocate with investors coming to the country. So what I would say to the Liberian people, to judge the president of making 10 trips or whatever trip, normal trip in 11 months, I think is trying to reduce the position of the presidency. Liberia is in need of everything, and for which reason the president have to come and talk to everybody. There are so many needs. And I will speak to my brother Randy, you know, when you talk about national development agenda, I don't know whether you've been following what the Ministry of Planning and Development have been doing at the local level and the roadmap for Liberia recovery, that program that has been put together to incorporate the national development platform with the local at the district level, all the needs and how to integrate that into the national development. I don't know whether you all read that document, but we are open. The president is open to criticism.
I'm sorry, I missed that, Bishop Higa.
5 minutes, you never call me on. Let me
No. You said something that I kind of just missed. Do you, in response to the national development agenda, are you saying the Ministry of Planning have published that?
I said the Ministry of Planning and Development Planning and the district, they have a meeting and they came up with a program where the national development agenda will be integrated at the district level. That's what
will be implemented or has it already been done? That's what I'm trying to understand.
Listen, for the first time in Liberia, when Minister Gafam brought in all the stakeholders at the district level and said, listen, so many times, and don't forget, government is a continual process.
I understand that, Bishop.
Please give me chance, let me learn. So it was never done before. It was never done before. Now
I'm asking a simple question, Bishop Higa. Has it been done or will it be done? That's what I want to know.
Now, you asked me a question, have it been done? We just in power for 10 months. These are things that take 20, 30 years, but it have to start from somewhere. You understand?
So it hasn't been done, but it will be done.
In the process of being developed. That's why just listen to me. China in 1965, China came up. It was in the 80s that China development started to implement at the level where China pick up. So things not going to happen overnight, but we must identify the problem and then we create solutions. Now, the president visit, as he summed it up, we have to get friends. We have to get opportunities. We have to harness the opportunity. And I believe, Liberian people, this is the time. This is the time to allow your government. Please, if I have to talk to you journalists, you cannot in 10 months' time, nowhere in the world, Randy was a policy expert, nowhere in the world you expect the government to start delivering in 10 months. I don't think it's fair to start judging the president on that.
Bishop Higa, we're just asking questions. You know, Mr. Randy raised a point that I think is very important. If the administration have published a national development agenda, we'll know how to explain these trips. That's what we're saying. If you say we can't judge you in less than
something, surprising. It's very, very surprising. And watch this. Very, very surprising.
You're not recognized though.
No, I have to say this. Everything the government do, they should come and explain to the Liberian people. No government operating.
They work for the Liberian. They work for the Liberian people. Those are not intelligence that the Liberian people cannot know. If you
government work.
Let me move to let me move to the other panelists. Let me come to Mr. Brown. Again, like I was saying, Mr. Randy raised a very important point, or at least a point that I think is important. If the government have published a national development agenda, it will be easier to explain these trips. You can agree, Bishop Hagar, that 11 trips in less than 11 months is excessive. But let's hear from
Not
Mr.
excessive.
Let's hear
All
from
trips
let's
are
hear
very
from
important trips. Don't use the word excessive.
let's hear from
qualified to use that word excessive. I would not. You got to take your word back. This is a man elected by the Liberian people to do Liberian people work. Who mandated to even describe that the trips are excessive?
Let me hear from our panelist, Mr. Brian. Then I will recognize the president.
Use that word that President Trip is excessive.
So, if I'm allowed to speak, Mr. Randy's really, I won't take too much time. Mr. Randy really said a lot of good things, and I believe he makes some important points that I will make. But the only thing I would say with this traveling issues, I feel like for example, America president, he traveled in his 3 years, 17 times. He traveled 17 times. Now, I think the traveling that our Liberia president is doing is immature and excessive due to his amount of years he have in governance. So I feel like Mr. Randy makes some points. He said not everywhere he needs to be, and there is some there. If you look in some of the area he went, it's not where he needs to be. So I feel like we need to cut down some of that expensive of the president traveling immaturely and excessively. And Mr. Bishop, you made some good point. You said Liberia need everything. How can the president spend 54 days outside of Liberia, out of his if I'm not mistaken, 100 or 90 days? He spent 54 days out of Liberia. How can you figure out what your people need, and you spending that much day outside? Like Mr. Randy said, if you are home and taking care of some things and allow other guys to take care of things that needs to be taken care of, I feel like that would be a very idea to do. And you make another point and say we have to start from somewhere. And I agree with you. I agree that we need everything and we have to start from somewhere. Some of the trips he's make is needed. Yes, I agree. But if you are honest, you will know that 11 in less than 9 months or less than 10 months is excessive and it's immature, given the amount of experience he has. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And not just the experience, but Bishop Hagar, you can't take over this show. Bishop Hagar, you can't we'll come back to you.
The question, which of the trip, because he just made a qualified.
We will come back to you, Bishop Hagar.
I already asked the man the question, which of the trip will be inappropriate?
I'm not. We could say here. I can Google how many trips he take, and then it's 11. We could go through the 11 and see which one of the 11 was mature enough.
Bishop Hagar, I'm not going to encourage the exchange.
You travel to America. You travel to America 2 or 3 times in 1 month, in less than 9 months, and you said that's not excessive.
But look at the trips when a black
Bishop Hagar, Let's recognize the presence of Bishop Reeves. Reeves.
Guys are making political statements. You don't want to look at the facts.
You are not protected at this. You are not protected right now. Let's recognize the presence of Bishop Reeves, and then we'll go to Mr. Boda. Bishop Reeves, welcome to the show.
You're on mute, sir.
The bishop right to the stage with full go
mute.
Let me see.
Thank you.
Is there on Lone Star?
Thank you.
I'm right here in Maryland.
I was saying, you say I Lone Star food. Why you mean that?
That's a first.
Oh, okay. I love you guys too.
About Bishop Reeves. Bishop Reeves' internet works better in Liberia than it does here. That's why he coming on the show at this time. But anyways, let's hear from.
Okay.
Let's hear from Mr. Boda.
Thank you, Derek. Look, I mean, there's a lot that we all have said, and we all more in agreement with a lot of the things that is happening in Liberia in return for the president travel. And personally, I feel that many of our travel is not really necessary. What is necessary is our development goal that really talk about. We need to focus Liberia, do the right thing. Because over time, all of our government travel across the nation, across the world to seek partnership. They send it right back home to do that ABC work that is supposed to be done, And that's a mark that we are missing. You don't need to travel to all of the country before investors can come to you.
Right.
We need to strengthen our banking sectors, our legal sector, all of those things that create security. First and foremost, it is our priority to do so before even going to somebody to tell them, come and invest your money. We need to have our people doing their job, So the problem is many of the people who are being put into position are not working. So the president now has to take on every tax to do everybody's job. That's why you see our leaders traveling across the world. Because they're not supposed to be going across the world for every little conference, every little that. But why? Because they want to show the president, they want to convey their own messages. Because the lieutenant they have with them, many lieutenants are not trusted. They don't know what they're doing. So it's a problem that we have in Liberia. We need to first focus on no priority security, our banking sectors, make sure that our somebody can trust all of that money, and you can be safe when you come to Liberia. You can have some law of leadership that have honesty. So this travel can be cut down. So I want to agree with many of my panelists here in terms of the travel. The travel is not, all of them are not really necessary. 11 travel in the United States for 10 months, it's a little bit excessive.
It's okay. It's okay for you to call the name of the panelists you don't agree with, right?
Let me say.
I know there are only two pro-government panelists here.
Let me be honest with you. In as much I support the bucket government for success, I may also look at it from the analysis. The analysis that what needs to be done has to be done. This is not politics.
All I'm saying
it's about the country. It's about
Derek, you want to start trouble? Derek, you want to start trouble?
I agree. I'm saying it's okay for you to disagree with panelists and call their names on this show. That's what I'm saying. Let's get with Bishop Hager.
But you're making political statement. When the Black Business Caucus in Atlanta invited the president as a special guest, you should say no. When the United Nations General Assembly inviting you, you should say no. What are you guys talking about?
Bishop, what we are talking about is
I'm not talking about the travel, but we need to do the first thing first. Let's do our homework. We haven't done our homework. I can't come to you and say, looming money, I want you to bring investor in my country. And if I have all of these situations that cannot,
your point is taken.
Investment environment. That's the problem of every government. It's not when the government come in.
The political environment for investors to come. That's
we
it.
don't have that climate. The climate is not there. There's no climate for investment in Liberia. Nobody want to invest in Liberia because our banking sectors, our legal sector is not correct. We have a lot of corrupt thing in our legal sector. Our banking sector is not correct. The government themselves not supporting business environment.
Thank you.
So those number our existence. We gotta be real
Let's get
if I'm allowed to add.
Let's get Bishop Reeves' input first. But first, I will say this: there's been a lot of disagreement in the government. We see people resigning, people disagreeing with each other, and then on the high zone again, pro-government.
That's how we're built up, bro.
Pro-government panelists disagreeing with each other. That's a very interesting trend for this on 11 months. Bishop Reeves, give us your input.
We love Liberia, that's why, brother. We don't want to be deceitful.
My input on what?
But we're talking about the president trips. The president trips out of the country 11 in just few days, over 10 months. Do you think it's excessive? Do you think these trips are necessary? Mr. Randy brought it up that for us to better understand this trip, I may not be quoting for brother Mr. Randy, but I think the president needs to work on the national development agenda, and other panelists, I think you heard some of the comments then that were made on this subject matter. So if you have an input, I'll give you the opportunity to give us your input.
Well, this is what I would say. I want all of you to understand that everybody here is right. Why am I saying everybody's right? The president worked for the Liberian people, and the Liberian people have the right to question, to ask, you know, uh, hold him accountable for trips that he's making. But the president also have the mandate to deliver on what he's supposed to be delivering. So if the president feel that he needs to attend certain meetings or go to certain places, uh, he will make that decision and he will go. At the end of the day, I'm going to hold the president accountable for the job that we give him and what he's supposed to be doing. So as to whether it is excessive or is not excessive, the Liberian people have the right to ask him questions and tell him what they feel. So if someone say, I think you're going, too much, that's his opinion. If the president feel that he need to go to the different places, he's doing his job. At the end of the day, by the time we're done with 6 years, his report card will be up there and the Liberian people will look at it and decide that, look, we don't want this guy working for us, or this guy did a good job, and so we're going to put him back there. At the end of the day, that's what it will boil down to. So yes, people have the right to ask or to speak about the president going, and if they think that his trips are too excessive, they need to speak out, and that's their right. They earn that right to speak and to hold him accountable. And I think people speaking out on these different subjects, his travels, his governance, and everything, I think this speaking out will serve as a kind of it will serve as something that will keep him on his toes. It will make him see that the people are watching me and they are grading me as I go on. You know, the office of the presidency is one of the hardest job in any country. It's not cheap. So yes, let the people criticize him and let the president do his job.
Thank
At
you.
the end of the day,
Thank you. Let me stay with you.
I
Let me-
just
I will come to you next, Bishop Bishop Hagar. Let me ask Bishop Reeves a question.
think the
Bishop Hagar,
president don't think is right.
Bishop Hagar, I'm gonna come to you eventually. Let me ask Bishop Reeves a question. You know, I like how you come in, but I'm gonna hold you to a specific side because you came in. Oh, everybody right. You know, there are both sides of this. If you say this, you're right. If you say this, you're right. It's your president. You can question him and what of it. But let me hold you to a side, and I want you to speak from the perspective of the average Liberian, those people that cannot afford their daily bread. Let's not forget that's their money that's being spent to go to travel abroad. And we are talking about if this trip is really necessary. Some of these trips, President Puaka can send some of his cabinet minister to working at his will and pleasure. But he's been traveling with them. He could save money. I haven't asked you the question yet. Let's say President Puaka, the total trip costing, let's say 8 million. I think it's more. 8 million could be used to change at least a person's lives in Liberia. And I'm saying now, I'll bring this to you. If the president is really serious, as Mr. Randy alluded to, if he's really serious about developing this country, about changing the lives of Liberian people as he promised during the elections, do you think this traveling he's doing, do you think that's the best way to spend taxpayer money? Bishop Reeves, I understand you want to come from this or angle where everybody get ready to answer the question. But let's talk from the Liberian perspective. If you are in the Liberian people's shoes or the Irish Liberian shoes, do you think the president's spending their money wisely, especially carrying these delegations to foreign countries 11 times in less than 11 months, and also looking at the condition of the country and more besides looking at people like Bishop Hagar and their criticism on the previous administration? Do you think this is a wise course of action on the part of this president?
So, one thing I think will be unfair to me is, unfortunately, I was not here from the beginning of the show, so I cannot go back and effectively address what Mr. Randy said, and I think what Mr. Randy said, uh, that's this. It has set the premise for what everybody else is coming from. Okay, but because I didn't get it, I wasn't here, so I'm only going off of the last three people I heard speak. Okay, so I don't know how Mr. Randy set the premise. So I cannot answer from where Mr. Randy is coming from. I'm only answering based on what I'm hearing the three panelists speaking.
Like, you know, I think it's my fault because I inserted that Mr. Randy comment, so he gave you a pass to still play neutral. I will come back to you anyways, being you got a rebuttal. I want to go to Mr. Brown, but let me get a rebuttal of Bishop Hager.
Listen, Liberia is in the process of being developed. We are testing new opportunities and situations. I truly believe if you look at the budget of the presidency, it was sent to the legislature. There is no new money that the president is spending also of the money allocated for the presidency. These are things that we need to look at critically. I don't want to believe, because this information you disseminated, coming to America, if it is not true, I want you to go back. You journalists, don't put false information in the ear of Liberian people.
For the record, Bishop Hager, for the record, the figure I put up were hypothetical. I tell everybody else they were factual.
Because the Liberian people will quote you on the high zone that 8 million is spent. It is not 8 million.
No, that is not what I said. I said, let's say it was hypothetical. I didn't say it was factual. And again, I will say it to this camera. The $8 million were made up. That is not the total amount. And then that was just an example figure, because I just wanted to be clear.
So
go ahead.
I would encourage you. The Freedom of Information Act is a policy in the government. You can go as a journalist to subpoena the Minister of Information, and it will tell you how much was spent on each trip. And then you come here and give an informed decision. But whatever money the president has spent on any trip, it falls within a budgetary allocation for the presidency.
And I'm pretty sure that money is still Liberian taxpayer money. But let's come back to you, Mr. Randy.
The money was approved for the man to spend the use of the Liberian.
Let's come back. President Bwaga, in his capacity as president of Liberia, can carry donation to the John F. Kennedy Hospital. That's his part. That's part of his responsibility to improve that facility. He using that money that was allocated and approved. He can do better things in Liberia. Bishop Baker, to your point. But let's come back to Mr. Randy. Mr. Randy, you've heard from our panelists, and I know my question to you will be surrounding what they're saying. Some of the panelists agree that it is excessive. Bishop Hager, for one thing, it's not excessive, and Bishop Reeves play a neutral. Mr. Brown kind of sort of play a neutral role, but he was more on the side where it was excessive. I'm coming back to you because I want you to speak from the Liberian man perspective, the average Liberian perspective, and also the opposition perspective, especially where this administration heavily criticized the previous administration for traveling in similar ways and not bringing
playing football. That's why I say
not bringing any real benefits to the
Bishop Hager, can we please protect the man who is heading the show? I see you just on a rampage. Can you give this man some chance? Let him talk to us.
Thank you.
Please. Let's protect the man.
Mr. Randy, did you almost understand my question, or you want me?
No, I did understand the question for the sake of the time we have here, because I have to respect everybody's time here.
Right.
I know Bishop is pumped up. He wants to defend his government, so it's all part of the democratic process. But one thing I would say here, Derek, This is something that I'm very happy to see, where people who support the Unity Party on the platform can disagree. This is something that I have never seen, and of lately. So I hope that you guys keep it up, because it helps to show that the Unity Party is not a party of the past 12 years. It's the party that I think is making headlines. And people may want to judge what I just said, but like I said, when I sit on the platforms, I am looking at myself as a professional who has a duty to perform, and in the eyes of the policy, the law that govern my professionalism. That being said, Bishop Hagar, if you don't mind, I just want to make a quick correction. I think maybe you may have overspoke on something. You mentioned the Ministry of Planning. There's no more Ministry of Planning. It's the Ministry of Planning, Finance, Development. So I don't want to make that down. I did take a note on that because sometimes people may want to listen to what you say and they take that out of context. So with all due respect, you said something about Ministry of Planning, which is no longer. But to say, to speak on that furthermore, what I'm talking about here is, Bishop, you remember the Ellen Johnson administration came up with Vision 2030. And that vision was set by the Sustainable Development Goal that was set by the United Nations. And within that, President Walker, who was vice president on Ellen, they came up with a poverty reduction strategy program. And there were emphasis that were placed on major institution activities to reduce poverty and increase some level of economic prosperity. At the end of the 12 year, it was measured that they did almost 70%. President Weah came in to look at the same 2030 vision with the hope of creating a middle class by the year 2030. And Mr. Weah didn't do that much, but he held a line where his number also matched up with Ellen's number. So it kind of whole thing. Now, President Walker came and said, hey, I'm going to look at the 2030 vision and look at the important institutional responsibility areas. And then he came up with the arrest. We also look at reducing poverty and increasing economic growth in the country. Now, with that mindset, it is easy to recite those things, but it must be driven through a national development agenda. I think where things fell apart when President Walker selected his first team from the Minister of Planning, Finance, Planning Development, Bama Kamara. I'm just under the question of what did Mr. Kamara did, when he was there? Because of late, we listened to Minister Gafwan coming out to say, hey, we are going to now develop a arrest agenda that will replace the PROPO. Because remember, when the program comes out, they are validated by the European Union, the United States, the World Bank, and the IMF to see that it's targeting what the global expectations are. And because they were not able to do that, when you listen to President Walker's speech at the United Nations, there was no way that he could make the case, because had that been developed, Mr. Walker would have said, look, the vision toward 2030, we are now in the first phase of developing the arrest national development agenda that will drive these things by taking our country to 2030 with a middle class. Now, coming back to whether the president want to take a trip or not, there's nothing wrong with taking a trip. But what I want Liberia to understand is Liberia is not a rich country. We have to be very, very, money-centric in terms of how do we waste money? Can we be very cost-effective? And President Walker has professional people, and people vouch for them. There are times the president can say, you know what, I will be on the standby, but let's showcase ourselves when we go out there. And Jeremiah Kuhn, yes, can you make the trip? National Investment Commission, you got every report in our work. We are doing a natural resources assessment. We know where we stand in terms of our natural resources assessment. I want you guys to go over there. I just came from Dallas. I made that trip. I might not be able to make enough South Korea trip, but I'm expecting you guys to go out there and sell this country while I'm still focusing on the national development agenda and establishing this institution, setting goals for the institution. Because the last thing that you guys will want to do here is not having a performance goal. And like I spoke about the cross. If you had 12 months on that cross, what month and what deliverable or progress President Walker is making can only be validated based on a national development agenda, whether it is the environment and sustainability, whether it is health and preventive measure, whether it is education, what Mr. Walker wants to target. When these trips are held, people go to the conferences, when they come back with what the interaction has been. The Liberian people expectation will be clearly focused on that framework, and they will start to track those things. But those things are not happening. So how can a common man in the community know that his community or country is going to benefit when they don't have a visual or an understanding of what needs to be done? And I understand that when the president travel here, but I'm looking at the cost-effective way, the strategy. The strategy for us, everyone of us here, there are things that we want to buy, but looking at our economic strength, we want to get the best car through negotiation. So leaders should also be able to understand the national budget, understand the source of the budget. Are we a rich country, or are we a middle rich country, or a low rich country? Where do we fit? And that will help us to understand. But if Mr. Boka keep going here and there, and we're not seeing the deliverable, I'm not saying Mr. Boka should not go to the United Nations. There are events that take place throughout the year, and those events are like New Year, Christmas. For example, the United Nations is an annual event that people need to go to, and the purpose of going there is to bring up to speed the Sustainable Development Goal progress. That the president has to go if it's in good health. But there are other investments. I would say the president need to, think about how much it's going to cost, compare the cost, and what are the costs, validate the trip, and then see how best you can send in your best. And the people often say, don't work harder, but work smarter. That's why I'm coming from. That way, the supporters will see reason to say, Derek, I think the president is in our interest. They must create we don't want a visual map. We want to actually see a physical map in the form of the National Development Agenda. That way, everyone on here can pick up that National Development Plan and say, look, the president wants to this place. We are expecting X, Y, Z to happen. But up to now, it's not developed yet. So
thank you very much. Let's hear from Bishop Hagar next, and then we'll take our final break and come back with
Honorable Randy.
Go ahead.
I just want to ask you guys a question. The trip in Indonesia, almost all the African presidents were there. If Liberia have not gone at the presidential level, what kind of political message was sent? The trip where China invited the Africa-Indo-China conference. Almost all the African presidents were there trying to negotiate for their country. If President Bouaga has sent Vice President Kong or somebody lower, what kind of political message was sent to China?
I'm not looking at it from political message. I'm looking at it from economic message. I'm looking at it from the human element. I'm looking at it from a country that just coming from a war, and a country that is trying to economize, so to speak. But what I think will convince the other leaders is why the president is not coming.
Okay.
Economic. Let me learn, please, Bishop, I beg. Economic reason. For example, so we cannot make the trip in its entirety. The president has designated the vice president to come because the president has other major domestic obligation that he's currently working on, and his president is my president. And so there are things that you can do. Just because the president is present does not guarantee that things will work. But the level of people you send and their maturity and their experience can convince a leader to come back. Take, for example, we have prime minister in other countries. They are essentially like foreign minister, but you might have people who are very smart to be able to deliver, Bishop. And
I totally agree with you. The way the world works, most of the people that want to do business with a nation, when they have direct access to the president, it gives them confidence.
I respectfully disagree, Bishop. I respectfully disagree.
Let me come in. Yeah?
I respectfully disagree. It doesn't work that way, Bishop. I respectfully disagree.
Can I make a point, please?
Let me come in before I go to Mr. Buddha. Bishop Hagar, but the president has been present for all of these trips. So what did the country benefit?
Okay, listen. I will not come here to what would the president said is an investment and will pay dividend.
Oh, so that's CP. A president went on CP, right?
You're talking to Jerry. This is a serious conversation. Oh. Let's wait. This president made it very clear. Building relationship. We are creating an environment where people will come to invest in our country. We have to do these trips. Now, you come here, you want to joke with it.
Let's look at next year. What will happen? Let's look at 2 years from now. What's going to happen? 3 years from now. We're talking serious thing here. We don't yell a joke.
I was never joking, Bishop Hager. I was asking you a serious question. You said the president.
Then we not just go to a country and immediately you start seeing all the investment coming. Is that how it works?
So pretty much that's the definition of CEPE. That's why I said in Liberian vernacular is CEPE. The president goes so they can benefit the country in the future.
Right now, I saw the beginning. It took a lot of effort. Today, everything have been established as a household need. It never happened overnight. It never happened overnight. You need to understand that was an investment that Mr. Anderson put into this thing. Today, it is paying dividend. When it started, it was chaotic. We just starting. We are doing everything to make sure the Liberian people benefit. They talking about what Liberian people benefited. The man is working. Get him chance to work.
I understand.
Yeah,
Mr. Reed, if you don't mind, let's hear from Mr. Buddha. I've been holding up for a while, and now come
Look, I just want to make one more drive on my point that I made earlier. Look, if a house does not have a solid foundation, that house is always sinking. All right. I mean, we all singing the same song here, but let us be honest with ourselves. Like I said earlier, the National Development Plan, all that we're looking for out there is it lies within our own hands in Liberia. You're looking for all the resources that you need money to build this, you need this to do that. The only way you will have the money come to you is when you strengthen your legal, all of the things that affect the international community. Why will always be sent back? The plan for UNDP, all the international organization benchmark. Why they send you back? Those are the things that we need to sit and talk about. Because we're not doing what we need to do as a nation, as a people. Every time we go to IMF, we go to these conferences, they send us right back home and they give you assignment to do. Ellen has a same assignment for 12 years. Pass it on to Georgia, they even meet your benchmark. And now we're going to make
I don't want to talk about that.
You know, we need to talk about the issue. That's a problem that we have in Liberia. Because we're not doing what we're supposed to do, and we think we can mimic our way through the system. The system is structured to guide you. And if you cannot eat your house, if you don't train your children to clean up, broom, do this, and you expect somebody to walk in your house and smell nice.
Yeah, Mr. Buddha, totally.
That's the issue that we're having. But I'm not here for any government. I am here for our institutional problem that we have.
Even Mr. Buddha finally resigned from the government. Let's hear.
No, I'm not resigning. I must speak. I must speak to the truth. I must speak to my father and tell him he's been there. He knows the problem.
But no, you know,
and we need to solve the problem.
Honestly, we're about to take our last break, but this is the very first time. This is the very first time on several episodes that I have listened and watched Mr. Buddha take stance against the Unity Party government. So apparently he's resigning too.
No, I'm not. I'm not taking a stand. I think you got to ping. When you want to do it right, you must say it's the truth.
I agree.
I'm not against the government, but the fact of the matter is things that we want to do is not helping us. We need to do the thing that we need to correct.
We're not afraid when a government of responsibility and integrity. People can resign anytime. We welcome that. We get more than enough people to do stuff.
I'm not resigning. I must tell the truth, and the truth will help my father to do the right thing.
I don't think Bishop Hager taking a resignation in good faith. But let's hear from Bishop.
I'm not resigning. I'm not going anywhere. I'm here to stay.
Bishop Reeves, let's
so now you guys, you still don't understand why I'm saying that President Boyga is taking his trips, and I'm telling you, he will be taking all of those trips for several reasons, and we can speculate on why he's making those trips, and we can speculate and say, why can he send XYZ? At the end of the day, I am going to hold President Boyka responsible if things do not shift the way they're supposed to shift. I will hold President Boyka responsible. Why? Because he is the president for the country. And when we look, everybody will have their day in court. It means that at the end of the day, who knew that Samuel 12 was going to be locked up to this somewhere or something? Everybody will have their day. So if the president is just taking trips just to take trips and just spending Liberian people money, he will have his day. Now, at the same time, I can tell you the Liberian people should keep quiet and just watch the president take trips. They have to speak. The point that Mr. Randy made is legitimate. It's legitimate. The point that Mr. Boda made is legitimate. These are legitimate points because they are watching from another lens and they are making their suggestions. Okay, which is very good. At the end of the day, every one of those people who are over there, we will hold them responsible. And if they were involved in corruption, we'll lock them up.
Thank you very
So
much.
we just let's give them the benefit of the doubt, but it won't stop the public from speaking and telling.
Hey, Derek, can I say something quick? I know. I
haven't talked on this, Derek.
Let's hear from Mr. Brown.
When the president from China,
I'll get a picture in 30 seconds. Derek, I'll get a picture in 30 seconds.
You sure about that?
The construction of the bridge from 12th Street all the way to Barnaville Junction, the bridge. Why are you not talking about that? Why are you not talking about that, Derek? You've been very dishonest. And
Why are you attacking Derek?
You are spokesman for the citizen. You become
No. We'll not have you attacking Derek like this. What do you mean he is dishonest? The man is there to ask questions and
that the president announced the bridge that will be built from 12th Street all the way to Barnesville.
So what does that mean?
The money. Why you never mentioned that?
So what does that mean? What does that mean?
Means that he's not being fair. He's being
biased. No, I don't think so, because previous government has that same bridge. You know how many times they've announced that bridge and how many times money has been allocated. So we've heard that story before. So we're not. No. Let's see the construction and we see the thing moving over. Then we can start talking. So please don't attack Derek. Derek is just doing his job.
Thank you, Bishop. I just had to ask a question. Let's hear from Mr. Brown and then Mr. Randy, and then we'll take our final break. Mr. Brown.
So, I mean, it's the same thing we've been saying. And I will make my statement again by saying that the trip is and was excessive and immature given the amount of years the president have, the experience he have. Now, we are making a good point. My only thing I would say right now into this lastly will be, in order for Liberia to move to where we want to see it at, everybody, we all here have to be, we have to speak up what the truth is, regardless of if it was affect our party or not. We have to speak on what it is. We have to speak the facts. You know what I mean? We have to speak the facts. Now, Mr. Martin make some good points. The government have to work together. You have to trust some of the people you have to go to some of these meetings. You have to. Because I understand that you have to be somewhere, but you have to trust some of these people to cut down some of the budget, some of the money that is being spent. We have to trust some of these people to go to some of these basic meetings. Like one of the meetings I just see, the one I was in Atlanta, they have probably 3 presidents that was there from Africa. You know what I mean? So these areas is where, like Mr. Randy said, we could send the vice president or one of the speakers to go there and try to if you all work together or if you're all working together, that person should be able to go there and give your same idea. If I was working for Derek and Derek sending me somewhere, I would go to Derek and make that same idea of Derek. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like you were saying something, Bishop?
No, go ahead.
No, sorry.
Yeah, so he if he's sending me to represent the country, he should trust in that I will have that same idea as him to go there. So I feel like Bishop Martin is saying, Mr. Martin said, the president or the government have to trust these people
to draw down some of the budget because we are spending way too much money taking all these delegates, and the people that he's supposed to send there, he's also traveling with them. So I feel like we just need to look into that as well. So thank you.
So Bishop Hagan not trying to hear that. Bishop Hagan saying President Braga should go. President Braga should go the entire ministry.
I think one of the so your suggestion here is politically biased. Your sedition.
I'm a sedition.
Yeah, you're
so,
sedition.
So being a sedition does not give you a right to like Brenda to question your government or the
but he's not going to be honest. We're talking about honest conversation, Mr. Randy.
He's speaking to his government, though. That got nothing to do with
political because you guys are not honest. For this job, we have.
Is Mr. Randy? I got a question. Is Mr. Randy not honest?
What did you do?
Is Mr. Randy not honest?
Mr. Randy, I look at his view. He's been balanced. He said honestly.
Been balanced is the same thing. I'm just supporting his statement.
Saying the same thing. You're not saying the same thing, Mr. Brown.
The only thing that I was taking from there was the president is excessive and immature in his traveling.
People rejected in a free and fair election. You have, if you want to say anything, you will say after 6 years.
We shouldn't keep bringing back George.
You have no right to judge us. After 6 years, election will be held. You can come and put your kids there.
To my last point,
you're not recognized, Bishop.
To my last point, right? To my last point, Bishop, we keep blaming. Oh, Georgia government used to do it. We put you there because we say Georgia government was imperfect. That's why you're there for now. So why are you still trying to follow that same line that he did? Oh, Georgia government did it. You didn't follow nothing.
Because you, Mr. Brown, during Georgia time, you were not saying anything. Now you want to say something. Okay. It means you're not being honest.
Yes. We put you there now. You shouldn't follow the same trend as him.
Let's
for you to not follow the same trend as him. You should not follow what Joey did. Joey traveled 50 times. You were right. Joey went on the traveling with
publicly admit, Mr. Brown, admit to us that Joey government was one of the most corrupt, and you never stand with them. Then we can move forward. But you're not saying anything against that government. Then you want to condemn us. Admit to us publicly. Mr. Randy did. Mr. Randy admitted they fought in the Joey government. You admit it now.
Okay, listen. So if I admit it, hold on. If I admit or not,
do it. Do it, Brenda. Tell Liberian people that Joey was corrupt.
Would that make what Braga doing excessive and immature?
No, say it. You say it publicly.
Will that make what Joseph Braga is doing?
Say it. Would that say that Joey was corrupt? I want you to hear for your mouth. Say it now. Let you hear for you.
If he was corrupt, would that make what Joseph Braga doing is excessive and immature? With that,
give you credibility.
Mr. Brown and
so it's just what it is. We can't follow the same trend as George Weah. We put you there because
we are government was corrupt, Mr. Brown. Can you admit on the public platform that George Weah government was corrupt? Let it happen for you.
You are not answering my question.
You don't want to answer the question. You want to criticize Excellency. When you supported a government for 6 years and try to hide their corrupt practices, at least I can let the bishop because the bishop have been very honest. Randy have been honest. But you guys are sedition. You come here to destroy Liberian people. And I will not take it from you guys. I will tell you straight in the face, you have no credibility.
Thank you, Bishop. Thank you, Bishop Hagan. Now, by the same tokens, before I come to you, Randy, I don't know if Bishop Hagan will be able to tell us.
You can't admit that Joe will corrupt.
You know,
answer your question. You haven't answered my question.
No, admit it on the public platform. Admit it.
Will that help you to agree or not that
I will do research on all of you guys. I will do follow all your political connections and
you guys are no longer protected or recognized. Let's hear from Mr. Randy, and then we'll take our final break.
Yes, again, guys, in the spirit of being fair, I don't think it is fair to say Mr. Weah is corrupt. I would agree when we say Mr. Weah government has some corrupt official, but with a little restriction on that. And the restriction would be they did not go through any due process that convicted them to be corrupt. Until Mr. Weah, if at all, he goes through any maybe investigation where it is determined by our justice system that he is found guilty, then I would say, yeah, he's corrupt. But is there something around the administration of both Mr. Boyka and Mr. Weah, or former President Weah and President Boyka, that smell like corruption? I would say yes, but I would use it as a alleged form of corruption, because we have to believe in the justice system. We have to teach the young generation that just because somebody did something, we need to teach them that there are processes that they need to go through in order for them to convict them. I mean, we may tend to be on the platform, but people are out there listening to us, and they will take things for us and apply out there. Now, Bishop Reed, I would like to address what you said. Freedom of expression comes based on the constitutional protected activities we have, and that means that people have the right. But if we continue to look at things just from, I would say, the perception of, well, it is your right, I think there are times that we need to ask ourselves why it is true, it is our right, but it is also our right to understand as well. So it is our right to know, and it is our right to understand. When you mention that, oh, the president should continue to take his trip, what is running through my mind, Bishop, is people are complaining about difficulties in the country. And Liberians need to understand, I think the lack of statistical data shown out there where maybe an institution can look at the president's trip and see how much it costs, and then what could have been done to get the best out of the best to represent the president, and see how much that will cost, and whether the cost will provide a good benefit. I think that will help. But that, to me, logically present to me from what I'm seeing, Bishop Reed, I think you have someone who is more focused on corrective action than preventative action. And that is, let them go ahead and make other mistake. When the time comes, we provide a corrective action. But corrective action is very expensive. And then preventative action. And the preventative action is what I'm looking at. And we can use the preventative action because the preventative action will ask questions, it will develop strategy that will provide the best out of the rest. So it is true, yeah, you can make the decision, but at the end of the day, Bishop Reed, would you rather spend more money on something that you could have prevented? I mean, that just me. As an analyst, I would like to look at cutting down costs and not incurring costs when we can avoid that. So I just want to bring that up to you directly, Bishop Reed. You got a point there, but how good is the point? I mean, is it the basic? Are we looking at the advanced? Are we looking at the intermediate? I'm seeing, for me, preventative measure. And the defense for preventative measure will be, let's look at the best. And there are good guys in the government. And if President Boyka is able to challenge these guys, say, look, we are going for an investment meeting or workshop or whatever it is. And I want the best to represent Liberia, where I can feel comfortable. That way you'll be building shared responsibility, and these people will be able to hold themselves accountable to say, if I'm representing President Boyka, it will be like he's here, and people out there will get to see. It's all about molding, mentoring the progress. But if everywhere President President Boyka go, to me, it's not developing our leaders in the future. It's not giving them the opportunity to be stuff and to be who they can be. So I would say there are times that he must go places, and there are times that he needs to give opportunity and to others, and that will show the strength of the government. But it's going to be like whenever they make this important trip, and President Boyka go, it kind of create complacency among themselves. Why the president going with their way? You're not challenging them, Bishop. You have to give people the authority. It's called shared responsibility. And that's the first thing I want to bring there. The second thing is a preventative measure as well too. How can we prevent our country from wasting money? Because if you look at what to Brown points, we are actually wasting money. We are wasting money, to be honest with you. And we'll make this trip. All right, Derry, I will start there.
Thank you very much. We don't have Mr.
I
Hager,
ask a question
whatever you have left,
it's
you have
important. Thank you. It's important. Now, I just want to know, let the people tell us, is the president spending money outside of the approved budget?
That is not the point.
Presidency.
No, Mr. Hager. Mr. Hager.
The reason I want to know because the budget process was debated. It was approved. So if anybody have problem, if the Ministry of Presidential Affairs budget is too hard, it is before the budget is approved and what we're supposed to come in with our suggestion. But they put 10,000 on your table and say, use it for your job. That's why I say, oh, you're spending too much money.
It does not mean it does not
Yeah,
necessarily.
but no. But excuse me, Derek. I really do listen to. I did listen to Randy, and I understand the position from where Randy is coming from. Now, one can argue from different perspectives. What do I mean by this? Okay, so President Boyka has 6 years to do his job. All right. Now, we have not even crossed 1 year yet. Now, we know that the country is coming from a particular place. And where the country came from, there are a lot of things that need to be put in place. Now, there are many reasons why Joseph Boyka would defend himself as to why he's traveling. Joseph Boyka can defend himself and tell you why he's making these trips. Now, he made a very good point by saying that you have people who are competent. We all agree that these guys are supposed to be competent. But in the last 6 months to trying to get to a year, do we know what Boyka have come across with his people to know that, okay, I put this person there hoping that so will happen, but I'm just giving you hypothetical, coming from a hypothetical place. All right. Do you know whether he has sensed certain things and he need time to maybe move this person or shift this person? Now, why did Commerce Minister resign? There are many things we can talk about over there. But Commerce Minister was marked to be one of those guys who we think will do a good job. All right. So there are other people now that we felt that the Commerce Minister was the party chairman. Am I right? Was he one of the former party chairman? Am I right?
Yes.
Okay. So what I'm saying is, and it's debatable that there are things that Omer Boyka is finding out. That he's trying to push himself to do certain things. All right. And we can really give the details as to, some of the things. Boyka needs to speak for himself. But what I'm saying to you is that you are right that in order to cut down spending, the president needs to send some people to some of these places. Agree.
Thank you.
I'm also.
Derek, can I say something quick?
I'm also saying. I'm also saying to you that there are a lot of inside nuances. There are a lot of things happening inside that Boyka cannot come out now to the public to explain why he's doing certain things. You understand? He cannot do that right now. So I'm not waiting for things to happen. I understand you coming from your preventive perspective, but I also see that there are some things that's happening inside that is forcing Boyka to take certain decisions that other people will criticize. And I agree with that. That's why I'm saying the people have the right to criticize. But Boyka also will be able to come to defend certain things that he's doing. At least you'll give this guy 1 year.
Thank you, Mr. Reese. Mr. Randy, can you give your
input? Quickly. Quickly. And I think we probably might extend this to next week, but I just want to give a snapshot of this. Reverend Reed, it seems to be that I'm trying to connect with what you're saying, but in a very different approach and manner. When you say maybe President Boyka have figured out things, and that's why prompting him to do things, then that brings me back to the national development agenda. Because you know why? Everyone that Mr. Boyka vetted, I'm not telling Mr. Boyka how to do the job, but these people should accept with Boyka, and Boyka should look at them and say, hey, you're going to be Minister of Education, Minister of Final Planning Development. You're going to be the Budget Director. You're going to be the EPA. What is your vision? between 3 to 5 years from now. That vision plan need to be established. And they're going to develop their SMART goals, what is going to be measured, achieved. And then when they are not performing well, you measure them on a time. Because the year run on 4 quarters after every 3 years. After every 3 months. So if you see he's doing those things, then it will come to some of our mind that, oh, I don't think Mr. Booker ever asked these guys to bring to him their vision and how they're going to achieve their strategy that fit anything, and you're going to take the lead. So that, again, you're wasting time, you're wasting energy, and then you're spending time overseas. And then when you go back to reinvent the wheel, then people that always say, oh, Bishop Reed, I don't think the president did his due diligence. And, and I just want to register that tonight with you. And,
yeah.
Thank you very much, guys. And those of you watching us, thank you so much for staying with us. To you, dear panelists, thank you for your contribution. Let's take our final break. When we come back, I will give you guys the opportunity to give us your closing remark for this segment, for this episode tonight. So we'll see you guys after the break.
Maintaining your vehicle can be a major investment. That's why here at Brothers Auto Care, we pride ourselves on providing professional and reliable auto care at affordable rates. Whether you need an inspection, new brakes, or diagnostic reports, our skillful and experienced mechanics are here for you every step of the way. Call Brothers Auto Care now to schedule your next auto maintenance and repair service. At Brothers Auto Care, we help you drive home with peace of mind.
Attention all organizations, NGOs, and social clubs in and out of Liberia. Are you tired of relying solely on social media to run your operations? An effective web platform is your most important marketing tool, and that's where Tiamat.com comes in. Hello, my Liberian people. My name is Sophia, and I want you to consider this. 53% of consumers do online research about an organization before talking to someone from that institution. That means not having a website could be costing you opportunities. Step up your game and establish a professional online presence. Introducing our web platform, designed specifically for 501c organizations, small businesses, and political organizations, social clubs, etc. At Tiamat.com, we understand how important it is to make a great digital first impression, which is why we offer you all the help needed to develop, maintain, and host NGOs and small and big organization websites by giving you a full suite of services that includes automatic billing for members, membership and visitor portals, first-class design and functionality, and much more. The best part is, it only costs $20 per month. Upgrade your image today with our customized web design services. Visit www.tiamat.com to get started. This is a Liberian-owned business.
Introducing Suku Express, shipping from the USA to Liberia, offering pickup services from Maryland, Pennsylvania, Delaware, New Jersey, and New York. Suku Express is very reliable, efficient, trustworthy.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for staying with us this far on this episode. It's actually the season finale, episode 12 of season 6. So again, thank you all for your support so far this season. And to you, dear panelists, thank you for your contribution as always. Always is greatly appreciated. We are at the very end of season 6 and episode 12. We just have you guys closing remarks, and then we will draw the curtain to this episode. So again, it's been a fruitful discussion here. We've talked about the president trip. We got you guys' opinion on it, and then we talked briefly about the Hurricane Milton that affected the Tampa, Florida. That's in Mr. Sheriff. Talk briefly about that, and then we also we got into other things. So again, guys, is your contribution here tonight is greatly appreciated. I will just now go around taking you guys' final words, and then I will draw the curtain to this episode. Bishop Reeves, I would like to start with you, and then we'll go around to the other panelists.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure being on this show and to share your views, share my views with other panelists on the show. I just want to say that looking at the last subject that we just dealt with, I want all of us to know that when we had this show during the George Weah government, um, I am one of those who is very tolerant. I'm one of those who believe in giving people the benefit of the doubt. And during the George Weah government, when I made mention of giving people the benefit of the doubt, they call me all kinds of names. Some of them call me undercover sedition, and they said many different things about me. But and I'm just the kind of person who I'm not a politician. I like to give people the benefit of the doubt. Now I see the same thing happening here in this government. And I've been privileged to get to know about some workings of things from the background. It doesn't mean that I'm an undercover a unity partisan. No, I'm a bishop who choose to remain neutral and speak to the issues and speak truth to power. All right. And I have a way of dealing with things from a different perspective. I can come on this show and pull out a lot of information here and say things, but my final analysis is who's going to benefit. Is it just staring people to make a lot of noise? No, at the end of the day, I want to be effective in different ways. So I've been able to see how we can give Women Workout 1 year, and after 1 year, hey, all of us will jump down the throat based on the fact that there are certain things that are supposed to have happened at least within a year. So I still remain tolerant. I still remain hopeful that the Boyka government will deliver. And if the Boyka government is not delivering, all of us will jump down the throat and deal with it. But I still think that we need to give them the opportunity to call the shots and do what they're supposed to do. I want to bless God for all of you on this panel, and let's continue to put their feet to the fire and discuss the issues and let's see how Liberia will come up to that place of being developed. And lastly, I want to say that my final appeal will go to all of us on this panel and those of us who live in the diaspora. I've always said that if things will have to take a shift in Liberia, apart from the people in Liberia, the diasporans, those who are in the diaspora, will need to take some serious role in helping Liberia to come out. We can talk about that on the next segment. I don't mind, and we can go in details about it. But I'm just appealing that I want all of us Liberians, wherever you are listening to us on this show. We need Liberians to come home and participate responsibly. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much, Bishop Reese, for your contribution and that splendid closing remark. I would like to take you next. I'm sorry, Mr. Border.
Thank you, Derek. I just got a couple of picking points to speak directly to our leader and Liberian people and all of us on this panel tonight. No, it's quite important. And during our discussion, we mentioned about missed opportunity regarding Modai resignation. I just want to let the president know this is an open opportunity for you as president of the Republic of Liberia to seek this opportunity to speak to the Liberian people on this issue and launch an investigation regarding the resignation of Modai and how he came to resign and what led to that. And the next thing is I want to also talk about our national development plan. Many times, I think when we talk about the diaspora, we the diaspora needs to engage our government with some of our brilliant ideas, not just to criticize our government. We the diaspora will need to now formulate some of these development plans and sit with our counterpart, our brothers and sisters in Liberia, to see how we can formulate a better development plan for Liberia. Because sometimes it's difficult when you have all of these tax at hand. Sometimes during the political arena, there's a lot coming from all of the political campaign that we see and do. But when it comes to governance, it's a whole different thing. And we see it in America, we see it other places. But because the society we live in, a structure is defined and there is continuity of government, so we see a little bit of shift in policies, not on the national goal of the country. The national goal remains. But what is lacking in our own society is we do not have this plan, as we all discussed. There's no national plan. So we have individual driven goals or policies that does not fit within our national plan. And we don't even have one, so you don't have a plan. So that is very critical. And I want the president to think about that because, like Rennie was saying, I listened to Honorable Ganfon the other day talking about national development plan. And I was a little taken aback of that, but that's another day conversation. And our national legislature are not involved into our role of governance. I mean, that's the critical arm of government that needs to really, really hold the executive accountable. We don't see anything coming from their end to talk to the president or engage the president concerning national development. The only time we talk about things is that, just politics or some crazy stuff around Capitol Hill. And I hope that they are listening. And the VP or the speaker here the other day, those are where the good had the opportunity. But I hope they are listening. And if they're listening, those that follow them, they should share that. And the shared responsibility is also lacking in our government and our local and national government. We Liberians will need to start having a shared responsibility, especially from the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. That shared responsibility is very much lacking, and that's why we always go in a loggerhead with each other, because we don't understand first what we need to do as a government to unite or live. I was in Liberia a couple of weeks ago when a judge issued an order to lock down a bank, based on personal. I don't know if he understood the gravity of what he was doing, locking a bank in the middle of the day, and those are some of the things that hamper our development process, because our international partners sitting and looking back and say, this bank is my bank, investment bank. I want to engage this bank, and locking this bank out, it sends a lot of signal out there. So I hope that our leaders and those in government would take attention and pay attention and do some of these things right, So like we're all on the panel, let's speak true to our people. We're not in this for any benefit personally. I think we need to talk true to our people and sometimes put politics aside, how we go about it. It's important to engage and have an idea and discuss the issues affecting our society. So my appeal to everyone here tonight is that we talk the truth and let's be true to Liberia, not to an individual, So I want to thank the guys here tonight for the show, and I hope to see you the next time we come back. And I want to thank the CEO for giving us the opportunity to be here and to be a part of this show. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Boda, and thank you for your contribution on this episode and all of the other episodes that you have appeared on. Let's now move to you, Mr. Brown. Give us your closing remark for this episode.
Yes, thank you, Derek. Appreciate being here. Now, I would just speak in regards to my closing remark on the Boda issue of his resignation. Mr. Rennie
rightfully said. I mean, it was good for him to like step down, resignation. But what we Liberian asking about is that due process that we speak about. Okay, we want to see that happening. You know, we're not saying he should be in jail right now, but we're asking for that due process to start. He did something unethical or wrong. If it is unlawful, we want to see the due process. We want to see the due process happening and happening soon. I understand that it already happened. It's fresh. We're not saying that the government should go there and take him out of his residence, or we are saying the due process which every citizen should happen. As we are saying, it should happen. It should happen fast. We want to see it happening. We shouldn't see a guy that there's an allegation, a very heavy allegation on him, and then he's roaming around Liberia free. That's why I want to close on with that. And then I will also close with my statement when I said the president traveling, how excessive and immature it is, or it was, in regards to his experience. Now, Bishop Reeves made some statements saying, I'm not sure. I think it was Bishop Reeves that said it may have been that he probably not trust some of the guys that are with him. Maybe then that also come and question his that would question his ability and the amount of time he has been in power. How do you continue to make these mistakes if you have this much experience and having incompetent people that you cannot trust to go to these meetings? So we really need to that is some of the problem. If you can't trust your minister to go to across the country to have a meeting on your behalf or on the company behalf, then it's a waste of your experience that you have. Your full of about 20, 30 years experience, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong with a year, but if you have that much experience, you should be able to put in some of the right things in place. So if some of his reasons is he's scared that some of the people that he was sent are not competent enough, then that question his ability of being a president, or question his ability of running for that many years that he ran for. Now, my other point that I wanted to talk to, especially with the Bishop, if he was here, he's not here. Hopefully he can watch this at a later time. Listen, Liberia is for us. We are coming on this platform, staying up late at night. You guys, everybody have a lot of different things to do. We are here not to just talk down on the government. We are here to see how can we improve. How can we as a country improve? That's what we're here for. We're not here to say, one thing I want everybody to deviate from is the fact that, we are government do it. Why can't we do it? That is where we are not going nowhere. Because if we keep emphasizing on that point, if we keep emphasizing that, we are government do it, so why the American do it? Then that defeats the purpose of your rescue. You came to rescue us. You came to rescue the country. So you shouldn't be copying what George Weah government did. Yes, George Weah government went to his son to go watch the game. Whether it was good or it wasn't good, okay, let's establish that it wasn't good. Let's just for the sake of this conversation, let's say it wasn't good. So that means your 11 travels in less than 10 months. Is it idea? Is that the reason you are doing it? So we shouldn't do things because, John, your government did it, you didn't talk. So that means that it is okay for you to do some things that you shouldn't be doing. So we have to be unbiased. This is how we're going to develop as a country. We have to be unbiased. It's not because, I'm a sedition or I'm a unity party person. And then when I see wrongdoing of my party, that's how constructive criticism is where the improvement comes in. We need to hold this government accountable now before it gets to a point that we cannot control. You know what I mean? So I feel like to be effective, we have to do the right things. And for the president, yes, I believe that it was all his traveling have been excessive and immature. I'll continue to say that. And then, but again, the last thing I would like to say, Derek, and your management, I want to say thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here, and I hope to be part of you guys and be here in the nearest future in the nearest episode. And again, if you are in the New Jersey area, Derek, I'm sorry to give this announcement, but if you are in the New Jersey area, I am the assistant at a law firm, the Glory Law Firm. We do free expungement. We do free expungement in the New Jersey area. So if anybody on the platform, anybody listening need expungement, please reach out to me. My name is Agnew Gerard on Facebook, or you can reach to Mr. Derek Yale and he will get in contact with me. Derek, again, I want to say thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Well, first of all, my production team and management of this network will reach out to you with the invoice for the promo you just did on the network. We're all letting them know. Anyways, by way of information, this is Mr. Brown's debut episode here. So I'd like to say welcome to the team, and also thank you for your contribution here tonight. And also your closing remark was actually just drove home all of the points here. So we're looking forward to seeing you. So and there are many more episodes that will be shot in the future. Hopefully, you will have time for us to talk issues in Liberia and the diaspora. But again, it's a pleasure to have you here, and thank you so much for contributing to the season finale of the Hard Zone. Now let's go. Let's move over to Mr. Randy. We'll take you last, Mr. Randy. Give us a closing remark.
Yeah, Derek, thank you. And thank you to every one of you guys who came in today and who's still sticking around to see the end of the show. I thought the presentation and conversation was great today. But here, what I have to say. Tonight, I see the Boka people in the Liberian way now acknowledging the errors and the mistake in their government. The reason they agree with some of the points that we made from outside and then looking at it from the inside by them is that the lack of structure. If Mr. Boka has come up with a national development agenda, they will have a better position to discuss the indicators and the expectation of that agenda. And that is what they were lacking, and that is what Mr. Boka is lacking. Mr. Boka overpromised during the campaign season, but as president, he's underperforming the expectation. So the two are in two different directions, and even in parallel direction, they're not going to meet. So until Mr. Boka can begin to recalibrate, and you know what Augustine Kafwan is saying, that we need to replace the PAPD with the IRS by developing a national agenda. If Mr. Boka has started that from day one, after he brought in Burma Kamara and insisted that this must be done within the time frame of 3 months to 5 or 6 months, they wouldn't have been in the situation today. So right now, the country, the people, the government, both inside and outside, the people of Liberia, don't really know where Boka is going right now. Boka is like a car on the road that had no destination. They are still asking for the map to give them the direct area where they want to go. The IRS is like a car, but the National Development Agenda is what going to dictate what is happening. That is why today, ministers, directors, they are yet to come out to tell you, Derek, what is their vision for that ministry or for that agency. They don't know. And you know, they are not come up because there's no objective set. So I think Mr. Boka has wasted the first year, and to think that he's going to get the second year is going to be a bump ahead of him. Because how long is it going to take to develop a national agenda? Is it going to be accepted or is it going to be rejected? Time is of the essence. Lastly, Mr. Boka has not clearly defined whether his government is going to be a government of engagement or a government of performance. Where does he stand? If it's engaging, of course, everything he does will be transparent for people to see. If performance, we'll start seeing people going on trips representing the government, and he's supposed to be proud. So for now, I think Mr. Boka is still spinning around and really don't know what to do. And, you know, but always I try to be balanced, and I don't like people coming out and just like accusing former president we are of being corrupt. No, we have to be able to teach our people how society operates. And especially when you're on the platform, it's one thing to be also of a major platform to talk the, what I call pseudoscience. Pseudoscience is something that's not real, and it's a self-made belief. But when we on the platform, we need to desist by teaching our people to say, hey, I think the government of Georgia are allegedly corrupt. And when you use that term, Brian is here, he's a legal mind, and he understands that when you use those kind of phrases, you kind of exonerate yourself from owning what you said with no proof or evidence. So I want to encourage Liberians, when you are trying to classify someone that you have no proof of, always use alleged. It kind of protect you, and and sort of thing like that. But Derek, thank you again. It's always pleasure. And Martin, thank you. Always good to see you. Bram, my first time meeting you. Thank you very much. I'm not going to announce my consultancy here because I don't want Derek to send me.
No, seriously, Mr. Randy, it was a pleasure. It was a pleasure sharing the platform with you.
We can hook up Andrew Brown. We can hook up on Facebook. I know, just look for me, J Randy. But they don't know who I am. And, I work in Jersey. I've been there for all my time working there. But I do environmental consulting. Just a disclaimer, Derek. It's just a conversation.
There you go. Don't pay your fees.
I do environmental consultancy around and all my job and stuff like that. So
Derek, we can make an announcement for our consultancy.
Guess what, Derek? You got owe me, right? So talk to your CEO. When he first established that place, he called me and like, Randy, what do you suggest? I said, you need a CCTV camera out here to validate whatever happened here. He never sent me that info. Maybe I could use it as a cash in for me now. But thank you so much, Derek. Always pleasure, man.
You guys are interested. Derek, you guys got invoices coming.
Maybe that's what you should have done, Mr. Brown.
Nice to meet you, Mr. Martin.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Just follow me on Facebook.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Randy, Mr. Boda, and to all of you panelists that made this season and this episode a success. So before I draw the curtain to this episode, let me just make this one brief announcement. There will be a 2024 Black Tie Dinner Board that was being hosted by Mary Law on the banner of POCSAT, the Office of the President. And that is scheduled to take place at the Springfield Country Club. The Springfield Country Club at 400 West Spurt Road, Springfield, PA 19064. The attire here is men, black suit, bow tie, women, black evening dress. And the date for that is I don't see any date here. Anyways, 7 p.m. to 12 a.m. on November 30th. You know, the announcement came in last minute time. But anyways, thank you to all of you esteemed panelists and those of you that watch us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, whatever social media. I'll say thank you so much. We will take a 2 weeks break, or 2 or 3 weeks break, and then we'll come back with season 7. Until then, we'll continue to follow us on our Facebook page. We'll make the official announcement when we will be back. So until then, it's been a pleasure. Mr. Boda, have a pleasant good night to all of you watching us. Please do have yourself a pleasant good evening.
Thank you.
Yeah, 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 yeah.